I just wake up in the morning and I yell a lot, even though it's way too early. It's fun though. Wake up, wake up, wake up! Whoa, hold on, that's the wrong image. Hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. There we go. Wake up, wake up, wake up. I am John Greaves III. I am the co-founder of Garage Gym Life. And on this show, we talk about fitness-related content from a home gym perspective. We get your live reactions to the stuff that matters to the home gym community along the way. I know what matters to the home gym community, or at least my part of it, the absolute most, and that's that my camera is crooked. There we go. Bam! There we go. I felt like my entire setup needed a V8 for a second. Anyway, hope you guys had an excellent week. Our channel is hopefully your favorite digital magazine, and this show is like the feature story that we hope keeps on bringing you back week after week. Before we go any further, we got to go ahead and bring on my lovely co-host, Naomi Greaves, who has agreed to share my life. Ha ha! Let's play her theme music and bring her on in here.
Morning.
Hey! Do you know how hard it is to time the applause and the music at just the right time? I'm basically a DJ. DJ
Really?
Khaled. It's got nothing. I mean, he's got
Oh,
nothing.
now we're gonna get hit
He's got nothing on
because
me.
that's trademarked.
It's not.
Great.
It's not.
Great.
Any dang engagement is good engagement. If he says me things, stop it. Good enough for me, okay? He noticed. That means he saw it. Ha ha! We win. We win again. Can't win if I'm winning. Can't lose if I'm winning. Anyway, before we you guys are watching right now, this is basically what the first hour of show is gonna be like. So if this is it
Shenanigans.
you're into,
It's shenanigans.
I am Shenanigans Coordinator. So if this is what you are into, hit the like button and hit subscribe for me. And if you know somebody else who is into this kind of stuff, do me a favor and share this video link with them so that they can come in here and join the party. One thing I do ask of you guys, aside from hit like and hit subscribe, is while you're here, whether you're watching live or you are a proud member of the replay gang, shout out to all of you in the replay gang, make sure you're not silent. We want to hear your voices.
Mhm.
So if you're watching live, make sure you post your questions and comments in a live chat. And I'm going to keep on posting this banner up multiple times during the show because we want to hear from you. This show doesn't work as well if it's just one, just my voice or just my host voice, or if it's even our guest. This show works best when it's a conversation between all of us, because that's what makes it, that's what sets it apart from every other show on YouTube. All right. So you guys make sure you jump in and get active. So we're about to go into the live chat and take attendance. So let's give them a little bit more time to get into class. Naomi, go ahead, tell everybody what is on the menu for today's show.
All right. So what's on today's show? At 6:15, it's news and other things with me. Then at 6:45, it's everybody's favorite segment, Recliner of Rage, and Lord only knows what he's going to bring up. Second hour, though, 7 a.m. to 6 a.m. Central. John somehow convinced John Offreda, who is the National Director of Sales at Major Fitness, to get up way too early again. And then the third hour at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, strength coach, physical therapist, and power lifter Sammy Sebok joins us to give us practical advice for getting stronger and how to properly introduce tools like bands, chains, or specialty bars into your training. And if time permits, he will also do some very basic form checks based off of videos you shared during the show at Garage Gym Life on Instagram. But the show doesn't stop. Stay tuned for the final segment where John once again tells us what he's learned this week about life, lifting, and creating content on the YouTube space.
All right. Thank you, Naomi. You guys make sure you also subscribe to Naomi's YouTube channel at Naomi Harris Greaves on YouTube. If you're a remote worker, let's just say it like that. I'm always like, how do I introduce that? Basically, if you are a remote worker, that channel is for you. She answers questions. She posts home office setups. But it's also, that's another thing that's kind of driven by you guys. So you go in there, you throw comments on, you ask questions, then that helps guide the kind of content she puts up there. So if you're a remote worker, the channel is literally for you. So you guys make sure that you subscribe to at Naomi Harris Greaves on YouTube. All right, now let's go into the live chat and see who is here. We have a new champion. All right, so Balance and Grace Coaching. What's going on, Letha? Says good morning. Good morning. Thank TGIF. Hey, that's right. We made it to another Friday.
Yep.
Next in the building. So she was in here at 4:26 this morning. Next up at 4:35 was our guy Trevor. T-Dog 19 said, let's go. What's up, man?
Morning.
And then Carlos. We were talking about you already, Carlos, this morning, for reasons you'll find out in a couple minutes. Says, good morning, good Friday. Being up way too early makes it my day. It is Good Friday today. That's right. It is Good Friday today. Good morning, Carlos. And as I mentioned, I'll go ahead. Normally I don't, when I post a comment in the live chat before the show starts, I normally don't read it. Okay. But I'm gonna star that and I'm gonna come back to it. All right. Let's see here. What do you mean? I don't even know what you're talking about. Carlos saying I can't be left unsupervised. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even know what you're talking about. Anyway, moving along. I feel like I'm being unfairly attacked. Anyway, Sean from Colonial Barbell Club, another great YouTube channel, says, good morning. What's up, man? And let's see here. And here we go. Everybody's happy to see Naomi. He says, no, me. All right. And let's see. And I don't understand. All right. He says, so 30 seconds into my journey to the parquet, I assume he's saying I hear shots.
Yeah.
Good Friday, right? Only if you turn around and left the park immediately. You know, look, I'm as big a fan of Luke Cage as anybody else, but I ain't trying to be like him. I'm not bulletproof, so I turn around and go other places if I start hearing shots.
Have the Spring Breakers left Houston? Because he's in Houston, and it's been all over social media and everything else. So maybe those are just leftovers.
It's potentially. Hey, No Fate Channel.
Checking in.
On the roll call, he said the bad guy is here. What's up, man? We've definitely got to get Jonathan back on this show. He's you know what? When he hits 30,000, let's celebrate by bringing him on the show. And he's really close. So when you hit 30,000, we're gonna get you on the show, Jonathan. Yep. He said, if you didn't hit that like button, you better call somebody. Man, you just took me back to Road Dogg Jesse James. And then they call him Jonathan Reza Ramon. That's right, Chico. See, Naomi, we're gonna have to watch some old WWF. It's not WWE either. It was WWF promos. Yeah.
I used to watch some as a kid, but not really. Like, it was on, but
that's an excellent life right there.
Not really. Now the boys loved it.
That stuff is amazing. I'm telling you, that's foundational. WWF helped raise me.
I was outside.
I remember Mommy used to pray when Hulk Hogan would be wrestling. She'd pray for him to win his matches. And then when he'd win, he'd rip open his shirt. She'd say, yeah! I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Oh, okay. Now.
Yeah.
Now that we've called attendance, let's go ahead and take about 40 seconds. I'm going to actually find this thing, okay? I know I'm going to find this thing. All right, and we're gonna check out my favorite powerlifting bar from Bells of Steel. Let's go. This is the Bare Naked Powerlifting Bar from Bells of Steel. I have used a lot of bars since I started lifting weights in 1993, and this bar has got to be one of my favorite. I have loved this bar since I first saw it at Home Gym Con in French Lick in 2023. I saw it, tried it, and I had to bring it home with me. It's a bare steel bar, so I said, let me see how well it holds up without any maintenance done to it. And when I say zero maintenance, it still has a blood mark from where I hit my forehead when I was getting set up to squat one day. And I left it on there because I committed to do zero maintenance on it just to see how the bar would hold up, and it has not disappointed me. All right, I am a huge fan of that bar. It is still my favorite powerlifting bar, and you guys can get it either by clicking the shopping button that's under this video, or you can get it by using the product link that that is in the video description. If anybody wants it, I can also post that product link in the live chat. It's literally been my favorite powerlifting bar for the last I want to say since the first Home Gym Con. It's been my favorite powerlifting bar with zero maintenance, and it's still going strong. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into news and other things. All right, so first of all, we do have the question of the day. So I'm going to ask you guys the question of the day, and then since Naomi and I do not have an answer for the question of the day, we're gonna go ahead and give Naomi a chance to answer last week's question of the day, because I forgot to get her answer to it, which is egregious because she's the one that came up with the question. So the question of the day for this week is, what was your favorite April Fool's Instagram post? And I basically stay off of Instagram on April Fool's Day because I don't want to be that one that got tricked and promoted something that actually wasn't real. So I just stay off of Instagram on April Fool's Day. And Naomi said she also did not check out any of them. So we want to hear from you guys what your favorite April Fool's Instagram post was. Go ahead and post it in the comments. If you're watching on replay, then just reply to it. It'll be the pinned comment. But last week's question of the day, and I'll give you the big screen to answer this, is, Naomi, what fitness advice would you give your younger self if you could?
I think, well, with this journey that I've done all last year and into this year, I was always doing like fad diets, or it was always, if I had a slip, I was done. And I was like, this year was like, okay, one slip doesn't mean it's over. It's like, okay, I could do 80-20. I can, if I didn't do my program workout, I at least did 10 minutes, those kind of things. So it's like, I wish I had taken what I had learned all last year and did it in my younger life. And I think I would have been kinder to myself throughout my journey. Because I think I was a lot harder, or I just kind of pushed it off and said it was not, it's just not for me. And I think I would have stayed more, found the sports that I enjoyed and done it more. I don't want to say aggressively, but I would have stayed consistent with it. So yeah, that's what I would tell my younger self. Like, don't give up on yourself. So what if you had a cookie? And was it good? And you can enjoy things without feeling guilty about it.
Not bad at all, which is good considering what else we're going to talk about today. So that actually segues right into what else we're going to talk about. That's good.
Well, the thing is that, again, I think we got into the debate of who runs.
See, I wasn't even talking about that yet. I'm gonna bring it up, yes, but I wasn't talking about that. But you know what? We could go ahead and move that up in the queue, because that was I was gonna talk about the Waffle Taco thing.
Oh yeah, that was actually really good.
Yeah, but no. I'm gonna move that other one straight up to the top of the queue right here. This was an unplanned segment.
First
So
of all, it's not unplanned segment because you started off the morning at 4 o'clock, straight sit up in bed, woke me up, and then left the lights on as you left the room and then wanted to
okay,
have a conversation.
okay, but it was an unplanned segment because I woke up and because the alarm went off, and then
Whose alarm? Not mine.
this morning, yes, my alarm went off, and
Yours.
you threw the elbow, but it was time for me to get up to do show prep, so I got up. And then the first thing I saw was that email, which had nothing to do with Mongolia or anything else. And then I had that text message where the guy wanted me to call him, and it reminded me I had to take the trash out just because of what he does. So I was like, okay, sure. So I took the trash out, came back, and I said, "You and mommy and Nora had me out too late last night,
You
out
went to
eating
bed
Mongolian
early,
food."
but you went to bed
I
early.
no. I Whenever I go to bed after 8:30 on a Thursday, something has gone wrong. All right. Something happens to have gone wrong multiple times so far this year, but I'm supposed to be in bed by 8:30. So I wake up refreshed and happy and vibrant. Right. But instead, what's happening is stuff is going wrong. And then last night I said, okay, this ain't gonna happen again. But then y'all had me out in the streets eating Mongolian food. So I said we're eating This is we had to go through all this so y'all could catch up, right? I said y'all had me out in the streets eating Mongolian food, and you said it wasn't Mongolian food. I said there's a Mongolian dude on the sign, and you said yeah, but it's not Mongolian food. And I think you said it's owned by Japanese people.
I think they're Japanese.
So the owners of this, you know what? Hold on a second.
The food's great, by the way.
It is great,
It's
but I'm gonna pull up the sign for this establishment. All right.
well, I do need to go ahead and say because I did Google it.
It does says order authentic Japanese online. Okay. I got that. Okay.
Right.
But
But
I'm trying
the
to find
Mongolian part was at the bottom of the sign.
I'm trying to pull up a good picture. There we go. All right, so this will work right here. So first screen share of the day is going to be me defending myself. That's right.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
We got to fight the powers that be. All right. So right there.
God.
Oh, you see that right there? That is a Mongolian dude. All right. That's a Mongolian dude. That is not a Japanese dude. That's a Mongolian dude.
It's just an Asian dude. That's
No,
how I
no,
looked
no, no,
at
no,
it.
no.
And I'm like,
Let's zoom right on in. That is a Mongolian dude. Look at the headdress.
okay.
All right.
But
That's a
then
Mongolian
I
dude.
didn't see.
And look at the sign that says Mongolian
I didn't see that
stir
part of the sign.
fry. Okay. So I said, we're out eating. Oh, we can stop sharing. So I said, y'all had me out eating Mongolian food. You're like, well, no, the owners are Japanese. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because you said
So then I said, oh, that explains why Kevin, our server, who was great, didn't respond when I told him thank you in Chinese. He said, oh, yeah, you're great, right? So, and you're like, yeah, because he's Japanese. So then I said, how's I supposed to know that? The sign says Mongolian. So I just assume, you're like, well, why'd you assume he's Chinese? It's owned by Japanese
okay,
people.
so I will say.
Carlos said, I'm a supervised fan. Hold on now, Carlos. But the reason I brought you up, he said, I just walked into a fence.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I feel like you're the one having you're the one new supervision. You walk into a fence. Okay.
You don't need a.
You need a headlamp.
Yeah, you don't need a sunrise alarm clock. You need a headlamp, and I can.
Then again, if he heard gunshots, maybe that's why he ain't got the headlamp on. But when you heard the gunshots, you should have gone back home. So that yeah. Anyway, moving back again. All I'm saying is
I didn't see the Mongolian part on the sign.
It says Mongolian, okay? And so you like, well, why'd you assume he's Chinese? I said because the Mongols conquered China. Okay. They didn't conquer Japan. And I brought up Carlos because we're watching Carlos defend Japan from the Mongols every Friday.
First of all, I don't think conversations that take place between the hours of 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. need to be brought up on the show. I'm just saying. And I wasn't fully awake, and I didn't have coffee yet.
See, that's all I'm saying. Trevor said lessons in cultural appropriation with Uncle John. I mean, now the food was very good.
The food was great.
It's fantastic. All right.
It's kind of reminiscent of a restaurant we would visit. Like we purposely would go and visit when we would go to the Arnold. and
It's called
BDs, and we'll reconnect with friends from the animal cage and everything else from ABCs, and loved it. I mean, the food was amazing. And so when it was actually one of our sons had let me know about this restaurant, took Nora there the first time, loved it, had leftovers. Someone ate our leftovers. And so
I did not eat all of it. I had
not
one
all
bite,
of it.
and then I started the show.
You
I
ate
had
my fried rice.
one bite.
You came in with the container. You finished it. You had one bite of the soup.
Oh, okay. I knew I had one bite of something.
Of
Look
the
at
soup.
this. It said that's John being John. 4 a.m. shenanigans.
Yeah,
I'm being attacked again. Look at that. See, and I brought up your show and gave you a shout out for your show and everything. So okay. See that?
But I mean, the food is good. So if you're
An
ever
outrage.
in Northwest Georgia, visit. Or actually, there is one also in Montgomery, Alabama. Because I did Google it to see
I don't know
what
how
was
far
on the
that away
sign.
from Auburn, but it is worth the trip.
It's definitely worth the trip.
It is, and it's also it is big food. Lots
of food.
It looks like it's not. It is.
John was fascinated by the bowl.
I was. I was like, that's the most time I've ever spent on pottery. I was like, oh, and it's still keeping it hot. Yeah, we could talk about just the bowl for a long time, and I don't want to do that. But I'm just saying that I was fascinated. Yes, yeah. I was.
Yeah.
In other food related news, and this is a big deal now, okay, because I've been talking about this for several years, but I visited Waffle Taco, the Waffle Taco. Now, that is not to be confused with Waffle Taco with no E, which is a vegan restaurant in Atlanta. You will not see me there. Mm-hmm. If you see me at Waffle Taco vegan restaurant, I'm kidnapped. Come get me immediately. Don't wait. Don't call anybody immediately. I need you to intervene and get me out of there because I'm not there of my own free will. But the Waffle Taco in Nashville, fantastic place. I went in there, and that's when I found out that it used to be a Waffle House, and that's why if you're driving by, it looks like a Waffle House because it used to be a Waffle House, and now it's an American. I'm reading what they say. It's an American Hispanic breakfast and brunch restaurant and gourmet coffee house. So this is, let me go ahead and I'll share this screen here so you guys can see what the menu kind of looks like. But this is the Waffle Taco, right? You can join the Waffle Taco Club. I did not do that, but that is an option for you. And you can actually start placing online orders at 7 a.m. Eastern time. 7 a.m. Central time. Mm-hmm. So then once you do that, then the delivery menu pops up, and that's how you can check out the these are some of the things that are on the menu. They sell water, in case y'all need to know that. They sell Mexican Coke, which is a good thing. They got a kids menu. I mean, the food is fantastic.
The breakfast burrito, I was like, is that steak in there? It was actually really good that you brought. And their hash browns were also really, really good.
And I did not take a picture of the food because I just didn't. But so yeah, I got the waffle burrito. Let me see if I can pull it up. It looks pretty much just like the website.
But we've passed that place so many times wondering like, well, what's in there kind of thing.
So yeah, so that's what it doesn't look like much, but when I got it, I was like, and
it's thick.
Got it, and
pause.
Yeah, I knew you were about to say that, but I got it, and it's got rice, beans, pico de gallo, and then you got a choice of meat. I chose steak, and then it's topped with cheese sauce. It comes with hash browns. I also got a chocolate chip muffin and Mexican sweetbread. And I'm very proud of myself because I did not eat any of it. Instead, I put it in a bag. It's still this bag right here is how it arrived at the house. I didn't eat any of it. I drove 300 miles and shared it with Naomi and Nora. And our verdict is it's very, very good. Now, what I did not share was my latte. All right. That was also very, very good.
So here's my confession, because until I saw the picture of you holding it, pay attention. I thought that was I thought that was what you call it, banana pudding. And I
Oh
thought you
wow,
had
really?
and I thought you had picked that up at like Bucky's. So I
Oh
actually
wow,
at first I
no.
thought you were like close to home and that you had like picked up like you had stopped to get gas and then you had picked up the banana pudding that they have at Bucky's and I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, cool." Um it's not the homemade kind, but Bucky's is, banana pudding is all right.
Yep.
So until you I saw the other picture of it being actually a drink, I was like, "Oh, that wasn't
Yeah.
banana pudding."
Yeah.
And when it didn't show up at the house, I was like, "Well,
Yeah. No.
it's
No.
see, Carlos agrees. It looks like pudding. It does."
That's because that's how much whipped cream is on top. I mean, it's fantastic. And so I chose the cinnamon, but you can choose your toppings on top of the whipped cream. So yeah, it's look at them. See, look what you started. You'll be talking about thick.
I,
He said, "My bad. I'm still concussed from the fence." That's fantastic.
just be careful, or let us know. We already have 9-1
Yeah, or be
already
reckless,
pressed.
but make sure you
Yeah,
video it.
we'll press the other one for you just in
That's
case.
it. But my verdict is it's fantastic. I tagged Carp and Rory, and they both said that they're interested in going. And Sean, I think you said you wanted to go check it out as well. So I'm definitely down to go back. So yeah, it is fantastic. So if you are in Nashville for any reason, don't drive past it. It is definitely nice. A little bit. You have to be intentional about going there because of where the parking lot is. It's
It's
easy to pass it
yep,
because
yep.
it's in that lane that heads to the freeway.
And
So
also cars will not let you
they will not
turn.
let you in. So you
They
better
have
like prepare yourself mentally. Say, okay, plan ahead. I'm going to
yep,
Waffle Taco.
yeah.
All right. But it is definitely worth it. I don't remember if we talked about hyperized hips last week.
Oh
Um,
my god, those are amazing.
okay, so that means we did not talk about hyperized hips. So
Those are amazing, amazing. I've used it for when I've
they don't
done.
have Bucky's in the Midwest. Oh,
What do you mean they don't have Bucky's in the Midwest?
that's what B. She's in Chicago.
Oh, that's right.
She said we don't have Bucky's. Oh, moment
Oh.
of silence. Oh, dang. Uh-oh. Sorry. We do
Maybe,
though. So
yeah.
anyway,
So
we do.
B, please forgive my husband. Um,
Hold on,
it
Trevor.
just
Oh, but we need to contact Miss Helen to settle this dispute over coffee versus pudding.
no, because she's still trying to figure out where the scan thing is to pay, and that
Where's the mobile unit?
yes, and that she's still standing behind me. So yeah. If I ever see her at the Atlanta airport,
Don't say that because you will run into her if you say that. I'm telling you, Miss
I
Helen.
will bust out cracking up. But anywho,
I
so
was just saying, hold on. I just saying, I love the fact that we're now having inside jokes. So if you're just watching for the first time, you have no idea who Miss Helen is. Just keep
oh
on watching.
man,
You're gonna learn about her, Fernando. You just need to stay here. All right,
Fernando
everybody,
has
keep going.
multiple jobs. He works.
That dude's
He
active.
gets
He's
a
active.
big tax refund every year because of all the multiple jobs he shows up. Doesn't mean that he does the job well. He just shows up.
Yeah.
So, um,
Yeah.
but the hyper ice.
Yes.
Stay focused. Yes, you that one. Um, the hip. It just so I had lower pause, but I had lower body last week, and then I have because my first triathlon is later on this month, so
Okay.
I've been ramping up just to get those final training times in, and so with swim time and lifting and whatnot, tried the hip, the elite. It's the Hyperice Elite,
Yeah.
and so worth it.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
my gosh. My lower back popped
Yeah. It's
when it was
like
doing
it get to
when
me.
it
It gives the
filled up.
same benefits as if you were hang to hang. So those of you who like to hang or inversion, it gives you the same benefits, but you don't have to hang.
It's just love. I thought the boots, the Normatec boots were cool and awesome. No.
Yeah, hyperized hips is better.
It's
Now,
yeah.
it was funny watching you, like, when you came into the kitchen. So, all
'Cause
right, let me play this actually for a second so people can see how you put it on, so they'll understand. All right, so this is my hyperized setup when I don't have a way to use the full boots, right? So these are the Normatec Go's, and they go in your calf. Put this on. Okay. You can control all these with your phone. Okay. All right, so you can see I got the Normatec Go's on here, and then these are the hyperized hips. You step into them. You pull them up like this. Clip it. Clip it. And then you're going to want to go. All right. So I stopped right there because that's how Naomi walked into the kitchen with that
okay.
on.
Hold on. So I tightened them, you know, so that way it'll stay around the hips. But I couldn't get the legs to tighten at least enough, and it just felt really, really baggy. And I don't know why. I think I was just tired, or I couldn't get it to
Clip.
not clip. I got the clip just fine. It's the leg, the Velcro.
Oh yeah.
And I guess it was because of the angle of me trying to grab it. I couldn't get to it very easily. So I waddled into the kitchen.
I turn around. I'm like, what are you doing?
I was like, I need your help. And
okay.
and he's like, no, it's not. So you don't need to tighten it. It's going to tighten us. And I'm glad you didn't tighten it because it would have like cut off my circulation.
Oh,
but
yeah.
It's like, nope, that's the way it's supposed to be. And so I waddled back into the bedroom and lay down and
yeah. So it inflates, each segment of it inflates, and the air pressure is what you literally feel your lower back start to stretch, and it's tractioning you. And honestly, I think that was not one. I think that if you put on the hyper boot and the Normatec Goes on your calves and the hyperized hips, you'll get a better effect than if you just put on the full Normatec boots, because it's like those three components are supposed to replace. They're supposed to be like, okay, well, if you don't have time to put on the full Normatec boots, you can wear these instead. And to me, you get a better experience from the three components, the three separate components, if you put them all on the same time. It was
because the Normatec boots only go up to like the thigh.
Right. Yeah, and the hyperized hips. Oh,
yeah. No, for that lower back, that pop, yeah, it was.
I'll tell you, it was fantastic. The only thing is with that, you basically have to lie down. You can't go anywhere because when it expands, I didn't like it's like the video's too long to play the whole thing, but it's basically you lay down and you can see it expand, and then you can't walk around because you can't bend at the waist.
Nope.
So you really can't do anything. So it's better just lay there and just let it,
just
run its course.
Let it work. Yep.
I've done it for like 30 minutes when I went to Nashville the first time. And it was just flat out amazing. Trevor says that. Go ahead.
I also say the Normatec boots, when we tried it at HFA, or I tried it. No, you also tried it also. Yeah. You can walk around with it when it does the compression.
Oh, the hyper boots, the Nike hyper
boots.
Yeah,
they do compression, so it'll end up fitting into your foot, and so you can walk around with it. Yeah. Maybe it look a little weird when you walk around outside.
You will look strange, yes.
But
that feels amazing. It tracks your ankle. It's got heat. So yeah. Trevor says Chirp has a portable massage table for your back that looks pretty amazing. I've not tried that. Honestly, I was not a big fan of Chirp.
You just had that wheel.
Chirp wheel. Yeah, I was like,
Because you were wondering how come you don't hear the chirp.
I didn't hear any pops. You hear the pops in the commercial, and I was expecting pops, and I was like, I ain't no pops. I said, false advertising. Really, I should have tried it, or I wish I had seen it for the first time because I saw it at Fitness Depot. I wish I'd been at Fitness Depot when I first saw it and known they had it, because then I wouldn't have bought it. I bought it off of Amazon, but if I had seen it at Fitness Depot, they probably would have let me try it, and then I would have, been able to decide if I wanted it or not.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. But speaking of Fitness Depot, our dumbbell rack has gotten an upgrade, and I know I'm excited because y'all been frying us. So the dumbbell rack, when I say dumbbell rack got an upgrade, technically the rack itself didn't
The
get
whole
an
rack.
upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. The dumbbells on the rack got an
Mhm.
upgrade. But the way it relates to what we were just talking about, because I know that sounds like an abrupt transition, but we were talking about Fitness Depot, and we went to Fitness Depot to get the dumbbell. So this is us in the Fitness Depot parking lot, and I say this is probably 10 out of 10 the worst parking lot for a fitness store, because it does not look like this is what you're going to find when you go in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, what's that Korean shopping mall place you made me go to?
H Mart.
Yeah. So I imagined that we were gonna walk in and see something like that, and instead, because I mean, this is not looking, doesn't look promising. But then when you go in, you guys see, I mean, there is tons of stuff. So you see all of the different brands. I knew that they had Major Fitness. I knew that they had Body Solid because they've carried Body Solid for years. This is actually the place where I first saw a Body Solid product in person.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew they had it. In fact, there's the chirp stuff down there at the bottom.
Mm.
But I did not know they have Force USA there.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that they had some of the other brands, but I did not know they had Force USA. So I was really impressed by it. I don't know if you had been there before, or
when we got the treadmill.
That's right, yeah, because that's a treadmill from there.
We got the treadmill for that, and that's actually not our second. It's our first one from there, because the other one we got it from someone. But we've got other gym equipment from there before. I think we may have gotten like a bench at one time, and there was something else.
We got some, man, I want to say some kettlebells from there, maybe.
I think so. I think so.
Because we've been going there for quite some time. So at least we've been going there since at least 2010, maybe before that. Mm-hmm. And we got the treadmill maybe 3 years ago. And in fact, I want to give a shout out to Donald and Richard, who were the ones who delivered the dumbbells, and I've got actual footage of them. I'm getting this on camera, so he can't say you didn't do nothing.
Right.
You know how they are. All he did was drive the truck. I ain't do nothing. Oh yeah.
One strong arm.
All right. So those were the same guys who delivered and set up our treadmill.
Yeah.
Exact same guys. So shout out to them. And you notice Trevor said, "Am I the only person who feels weird when someone's delivering something working like that and I'm just standing there while they work?"
And that I was gonna say they actually told John to
Yeah, you got to stay out of the way because if somehow, basically, until it becomes mine, if I were to get hurt, slip on a banana peel or whatever, then it's on them, right? So you got to like basically get out of the way. But that's gonna be part of the video that we do. We're editing the video and it's going to be live soon, but all that we'll have that footage and explanation and everything else in there. But I just wanted to give them a shout out because they did a fantastic job. And they not only were the ones who delivered the treadmill, but they also said that they're the ones who assemble all the equipment when you go into the store. So when you go in here, everything that's in there that you see, they assembled and set up. Right. So my back hurts just looking at all that, just thinking about that. Right. But because of that, they also are the ones who, if you have an issue with something, they can come out. If they delivered it and set it up, and then you have a warranty issue, they come out and they can fix it for you because they know how everything works because they assemble it. So yeah,
it's great actually seeing other brands that we saw at HFA that was there too. So a lot of the cardio machines, even the sauna that was there. Some of the power racks, I think, with the major fitness rack that was at Fitness Depot, it was a different coloration than what they usually brought. And I was like, that's actually really interesting. I like that color scheme that they had. So it's really, you go to Fitness Depot, let you get a chance to see, touch, experience, see if you like it. Comparison shop also.
Yes.
Because you may have major fitness on one side, you may have body solid on another, you may have tag or hoist on the other side of the showroom, and you can kind of figure out which one fits best for you or meets your needs. So it's a 100%. It's a great way that you're not clicking on a website to compare from jumping from one website to another. You're physically there and you can actually see it, which is kind of cool.
And they can also give you, and we'll talk about this a little bit when John Offreda comes on, but they can also educate you about the product a little bit with some information that you may not have noticed from the website, didn't know to look up or whatever. So we're big fans of, I'm a big fan of local dealers anyway, because up until before we had access to something like Home Gym Con, that was really the only way to try stuff before you buy it. And I'm not about to buy, we paid for several power racks before we started doing content creation, and and people just started sending us power racks, which I'm not, ungrateful for. But my point is, I was not about to pay that much money for something that I had never seen in person, or just to me, it'd be like buying a car sight unseen. Even Carvana, they bring you the car to try out first.
You have 5 days before you have to return it.
Yeah, but then it's not like you're just buying it and then it shows up at your house and it's yours and that's it. And that's essentially what happens when you buy a power rack. You just bought a used car, and but you can't return it, unless there's a defect. Yeah, it's like nah. So I like local dealers because it gives you the advantage of being able to try stuff. And so if you're in they do deliver to Florida,
South
Carolina, Tennessee, I think parts of Alabama as well. But if you just happen to be in Metro Atlanta, go swing by Fitness Depot in Marietta. They're not paying us to tell you this. We just like their store.
Yeah.
So anyway, that video is coming out soon. Now, what is already live is we'll just do this as the last topic, and then we'll go to Recliner of Rage. Is the Body Solid Jungle Gym video is already live, so you guys can watch that video. It's on the channel, but I wanted to real quick get reactions to not reactions, but like your quick reactions to the Jungle Gym, your impressions of it, and kind of give people a teaser for the video, like why they should go watch it.
I mean, it's a great piece of equipment from, Body Solid, and it's one of those pieces that can grow based off of your need. So whether you
Right.
have a multi-station, which is the 100 model, the 500 model is the multi-station where it has like that cable crossover effect.
Yeah.
And then you have the 800 model where it's a multi-station on both sides, but then you also have that cable crossover. Um, Smooth. When I say the cable, it's a really smooth when using it. Also to be able to move it up and down, to change for the cables, real easy to to move it. Um, it a lot of fun, and you do
Yeah.
have that pull up portion right there in the middle. I am working on my ability to be able to actually do a successful pull up. Right now, I can kind of do a scapular pull, and
Yeah.
a proper hang, but still, it is awesome. Really, really enjoyed getting a chance to play with it and work out on it there at Home Gym Con.
So you guys can see how empty it is because Body Solid gave us access to the trade show before when basically only the vendors were in there, but they gave us access to it. So we were able to go in there Monday when nobody was allowed in there except the vendors. Body Solid gave us access to be able to get in there. And then same thing Tuesday morning when only vendors were going to be in there, we were able to get in there and we trained on that unit and also the SPR FTS. That video is coming out soon too. Then we changed clothes and we shot the review Tuesday morning, the review that you guys see us doing right here. I thought it was funny because while we were shooting the B-roll, like using the units, people were walking up to us because they didn't realize that we were doing that we were working, right? So
Shout out to John.
did they have the grow? Did they have the grow? I know what you're talking about. Their rowing machine attachment. I don't think they had that there. That's more of a home gym thing. And this show is mostly set up for the commercial side. So Body Solid does hotels. They do like verticals like that, hotels, apartment buildings. And they also do some schools and clinics. So the stuff that they have at HFA is more geared towards that side of the business, as well as stuff for their dealers who do service the home gym community. But basically, they didn't have a lot of that home gym focused stuff there. In fact, they had the SPR FTS there because although it's a home gym, it works for a home gym, is designed for a commercial gym setting. The GPR 400 is actually is a shorter version that they designed for the home gym setting. It's the same machine. It's the same rack. And if you put the GPR FTS attachment on it, it's the exact same as the SPR. It's just shorter, and that's like their specific home gym model.
Yeah, we saw that at Fitness Depot.
Yeah, they do have the GPR at Fitness Depot. But that's a very long answer to say no, they did not have it there. Yeah. So people kept walking up to us while we were shooting the video, and they're like, without fail, right in front of the camera. They wouldn't like walk around and no, just every time, just right in front of the camera and then talk, which is fine. We ended up actually connecting with somebody who we have been trying to reach for some time, and so that was really cool. But anyway, just want to give a shout out to Body Solid for giving us that access.
Thank you so very much to Scott and the team. They are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of everything that they do, and so that video, I'll post the link for that video so you guys can watch it if you haven't. It's going to be in the video description for this video, and then the SPR FTS video, that's their Power Rack Functional Trainer. That video is coming. I'm still editing that one. I had to add some more B-roll. Okay. Last thing is all of our HFA show videos are live on YouTube and LinkedIn. The booth tours are on YouTube, and the one-on-one interviews that we did are on LinkedIn. And now we're starting to turn our attention to Home Gym Con. So we will release the sign-up sheet for our live show at Home Gym Con at the end of May. But right now we're going to start scheduling guests related to us going to Home Gym Con. So, yeah.
I'm excited to see everybody.
Yeah. And Carlos said, I like that it is technically modular. Yes.
Yes.
So the Jungle Gym, yeah, because you got 3 different options for it. So there's an option, I guess the 500 would probably fit his apartment. Or it's the one that's most likely to fit his apartment. The 800 is going to be bigger.
It's going to be way too big.
Yeah. You'll be living with it instead of it living with you. So there you go. All right, Naomi, you got anything else you want to share before I do Recliner of Rage and bring the guest on?
Have a great day. Thank you for seeing the behind the scenes of the shenanigans I have to deal with. Don't worry about sending help. I deal with this on a daily basis.
Just hit like and subscribe. Just hit like
and subscribe to see more.
All right. If this what y'all like, we'll be doing it again next Friday. All right.
Yes.
All right. So the show is not over. Nope. I'm going to go ahead and move into the next segment. But first of all, let's say goodbye to my lovely wife as she heads off to take our daughter to school.
Yep. Have a great one, everybody.
All right. See you later.
See ya.
All right. Okay, so that was my lovely wife, Naomi. You guys make sure you subscribe to her. But before we bring on our guest, you know what time it is. That's right. It is time for our most popular segment, Recliner of Rage. Let's crash out. It's the Recliner of Rage.
It's the Recliner of Rage, because he's not happy.
All right, so today's Recliner of Rage is really quick because it's just me telling you a story. It is dedicated to the insanity of doing a full body workout session the day before a 5-hour road trip. So I've done full body workouts before, but I've never done a full body workout and then gotten on the road and driven 5 hours, had to do stuff, then turned around and driven 5 hours back home. That was not cool. So I had to take my dad to the doctor in Nashville, and I did squat, bench, deadlift, and I did something else too. Anyway, and then so I'm driving and my hips are hollering at me. Just the act of hitting the accelerator hurt my hips, right? So I get up to Nashville, go to sleep. I left the Hyperice hips down here because Naomi needed to use it. So I'm like just in pain. Woke up the next day, the DOMS is now hitting hard, right? And so I mentioned I had to take my dad to the doctor. So I'm in this clinic, right? It's me and senior citizens, right? There's like Vietnam veterans in there. And there are people with walkers, right? And I'm walking just like them because I'm in pain, right? And they're looking at me like, so they figure like I must be like really going through something real, because otherwise, why would somebody so young be in there with them, right? And I still remember I was drinking a soda and the cap fell off. I was sitting down, the cap fell off the bottle and it goes under the table. And I just looked down at it and like, I'm really deciding like, does it matter that much to me to get this cap, right? But I didn't want to, I was like, all right, I can't litter. Let me get up. So I work my way to a standing position, then kind of like somehow got down to my knees and I'm looking under there. And right then I almost just stopped. But I look up and I see like there's like a Vietnam vet and he like makes eye contact with me like he's believing in me, right? And I go under there, I get the cap, come back up, and I'm just like, there is no way this can never happen again. I got all these people who have real conditions and ailments and they're feeling sorry for me. So I was like, this can never, ever happen again. But then I mentioned my hips are hurting just from driving. So of course, Fernando on the way back, well, actually on the way up there too, scheduled road construction on the interstate. So we were at one lane between, there was a section of road between Chattanooga and Nashville, and it was one lane on the interstate. And somehow he managed to do it. So it was like that on the way up. And the next day I'm driving. I said, well, at least I don't have to deal with that. Nope, wrong. They had switched sides. So on the way back, it was like that. Once again, one lane each way. So I'm sitting in traffic. Like we're not driving. We're just sitting at a complete stop. And I'm just in pain, hips just hollering at me. And I blame it all on doing that full body workout. And, you know, Why not? I also blame Carlos. Yeah, I just decided I'm blaming Carlos too because he didn't stop me. So there you go. Because I'm not happy. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not ever going to do full body workouts again because I do see the benefit. I'm just not going to do full body workouts and then drive 5 hours, knowing I'm going to have to turn right back around and drive 5 hours back. That was abusive. And you know what? I'm going to blame Naomi too. Yeah, there you go. Because it can't possibly be my fault. There you go. Hey, yes, Fernando. He's a dang villain. If you've never watched the show, you don't know about Fernando. I'm telling you, Fernando is a menace. If something went wrong at your job, it's because Fernando did it. Anything you could think of, Fernando did it. He's got a track record. So yeah, Carlos said, I can literally see you questioning life with that bottle cap. I'm telling you, I did not want to go through this. I was like, I don't know, man. So if you've never lifted before, you have no idea how bad that hurt. But I'm assuming all of you guys are lifters. You've all been there. You've all felt this DOMS pain. You know how like you do leg day, and of course that's when you got steps. You never had to walk up and down steps except for the day after squats. Then it's like all of a sudden everywhere you go has steps. You're just like, seriously, elevators broke everywhere I go. Is that what you're telling me? Yes, exactly. So imagine that, but now you're stuck in the car in that crunched up position the whole way. And it's technically Naomi's car that I borrowed. So she's got the seat unnaturally high. So I have to adjust everything down. Nothing is set up for a grown man. It's just horrible. It's just horrible. I'm a victim here. I know y'all don't care, but I just needed to share that. And I appreciate y'all for giving me the space to share in my time of need. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Now, let's go ahead. Now we got to button things up. And we got to add our friends from LinkedIn. So everybody look professional. Let's go ahead and add LinkedIn real quick. Don't, just talk amongst yourselves. And what always happens with LinkedIn is they give me the blues with the titles. So let's go. And there we go. All right. Ready? Let's go. All right, it is 6:57, so it's close enough to 7 o'clock for me to say shout out to the Central Time Zone. It's almost 6 a.m. there for you guys. We appreciate all of you starting your Friday by getting up way too early with Garage Gym Life. We are heading into the second hour of the show, and if you're watching on LinkedIn, I need you to do something for me. Just like I asked the people on YouTube to hit the like button and subscribe. If you are on LinkedIn, I need you to follow Garage Gym Life Media on LinkedIn. I don't want you to miss a single episode of this show, and I also don't want you to miss any of our interviews that we have with some of the most influential business owners, CEOs, and thought leaders who influence the home fitness community. And that definitely includes my next guest, John Offreda. John is the National Director of Sales at Major Fitness. We just saw him and the crew at the HFA show in San Diego. And those of you who are on LinkedIn may have already seen the interview I did with him. But right now, let's go ahead and hear from him live. So, John, thank you for getting up way too early with Garage Gym Life once again. Yeah, I had to do everything. I got to give you your music, show you your respect.
Good morning. How are you?
What's going on, man? Man, it's I feel like I just saw you.
We did. I felt like it was last week, even though it wasn't.
But so I just saw you last week, but then I was also editing the video where I interviewed you. And then I had to go and double check, correct some of the captions because it doesn't spell my name right, so it's not going to spell your name correctly.
Definitely was not spelling my name right.
Yeah.
That's not how you changed it. So
so I went ahead and I had to go change all that. So I just saw you yesterday again in that video. Man, I want to start with a clip from that conversation, and then I want you to kind of like unpack it a little bit more. So let's go ahead. This is a clip from that interview that we did at HFA. You guys are a home gym company,
yes.
And you said that's never going to change. Mm-hmm. But dealers a lot of times are like the forgotten piece of the puzzle in terms of selling to the home gym market. You're saying that there's some people who are not going to go online to buy something. They want to go to a dealer. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so
dealers are our boots on the ground. We value our relationship with them tremendously because they're the ones who are actually showing the product. They're the ones who have it in their store so people could come, try it out, touch it. Because everyone knows, there's so many different types of buyers nowadays.
Yeah.
You got the ones that just want to go online, compare, and not leave their keyboard.
Right.
And that's fine. That's why we have our website. And then you have the other person that says, I still need to touch it. I need to use it. I need to see how smooth it is. I need to see how big it is in person, And our dealers are our boots on the ground. And they're the ones who are actually going to educate the customer. And they're going to, for instance, we could tell you how smooth it is just online, but our dealers are going to say, come here, check this out. Slide it up and down with literally just 2 fingers. Yeah. Look how smooth that is.
Yeah. I
and
can't even hear
it. We have inserts in there. We've upgraded it. This thing is like butter the way it moves. So our dealers are the ones who are going to actually educate the customer and make a recommendation because, you also have sometimes people that were like, I need every bell and whistle. Right. The dealer is then going to talk to the person, ask how do they work out? Where's it going to go? And maybe say, listen, as great as this is, maybe this is better for you.
Gotcha.
And that's going to show that you have more integrity and that you're actually selling the right product for what the customer needs, not just the most expensive product.
All right, so there's a lot in there, and we have a limited amount of time with you, so I wanted to make sure we talk about that because I think, again, like I said, dealers are the forgotten piece of the puzzle because so many of us in the home gym community just purchase stuff online because that's what we're marketed to. We see the stuff on Instagram, and it's got like it doesn't say go, well, except for Body Solid and I think they might be the only company that says that says this. Go check out our local dealers. Most companies will say go to our website. Click the link in our bio, right? And you guys do that as well, but you have a robust and growing assortment of local dealers who are a vital part of your business, as you were telling me. So go ahead and unpack that for people watching. Like, why do they need to step into, go seek out a local dealer that can help introduce them to Major Fitness?
Yeah, so few points to touch on there. We at Major Fitness are making it a priority to grow our dealer network, where I know a lot of companies are not doing that right now. For whatever reason, maybe that's just their business model, but that is not us. We want to expand our dealer network. And the reason for that is, I'll give you 2 reasons. First off is we feel it's very important, as I just explained in that clip. But the other reason is what we've done in the last year has exceeded our expectations. We actually can't believe how great our dealer network is selling our product, informing the customer about Major Fitness. We literally have now other dealers that will contact us, and they literally say, John, I had 3 people this week walk into the store and shove their cell phone in my face and be like, hey, I want, this Major Fitness product because I saw this other dealer has it, but it's like 2 hours away, and I don't feel like driving 2 hours away. So our dealers are really, exceeding our expectations on how much they're pushing, Major Fitness, the awareness of it, what we have. But the reason why our dealers are so important is kind of like I alluded to in that video is they're the ones who are going to educate the customer. Now, our products are, as you know, John, very, very, very competitively priced. Okay. Right. So when people go to the website, psychologically, sometimes they think, well, when something that's comparable is almost $1,700 more, it's got to be better.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie. I do that too sometimes when I go online. Yeah. I say, if it was $200-$300 more, I get it. For $1,700, what am I missing? Even though I'm comparing and everything is equal, or if not, sometimes we have things that are even better or an upgrade to it. But psychologically, you just can't justify, well, if it's $1,700 more, it has to be better. Our dealers are the one who are now going to say, well, let me actually show you. And, I'll tell you a quick story. I have a dealer who said that, someone came in the store and was comparing 2 products. And that's why I'm telling you $1,700. That was the price point. And he said, this guy actually did a full workout in the gym in his showroom. He's like,
wow. Okay.
He was doing, pull-ups. He goes, hey, can I get a bar? Can I do some deadlifts and drop it on the safety arms? And he said the reason for that was he just couldn't comprehend how this thing was $1,700 less. And after the full body workout, he's like, well, why would I spend $1,700 more?
Yeah.
So that is one of the reasons why we put such a strong effort into educating our dealers, providing them with the best service possible, and expanding that dealer network. Because you're right. A lot of people, for some reason, I think it comes down to maybe cost nowadays. It's just easier to throw up a website, ship everything out to you directly from there. but that's not major. We want to have that relationship. We want our dealers who there's a significant amount in the US. I'm not going to say there's as many as there used to be, but we believe that that is such a huge opportunity. Why would we not want to, expand on that and take part in that dealer network?
I think some of it has to do with buying habits, so that, the vocal part of the home gym community tends to purchase online because we are active online, because or else how would you hear us, right? So we're online, we're vocal, we're on shows like this. We're watching shows, like people are in the live chat. My guy Jared just joined us. Matter of fact, let me say good morning. Good morning, Jared. Appreciate you joining us. Eric just joined us. Good morning. What's up, man? So all the people who are here in the live chat, those are the people who are probably going to go online. There's another segment of the population that sadly may not be watching this show, but I'm working on it. But there's another part of the population who are like in my parents' age group, or maybe just a little bit. I'm 52, so they may be a little bit older than me. Maybe they're in their 60s, and the doctor says you need to work out. They're the ones who are just going to go to a local dealer, because what are they going to do? They're going to Google sporting goods, weights near me, right? God forbid they go to the mall. And say, but they'll say, okay, well, I remember a sporting goods store. I drove down the road, I saw one, right? They're the ones who are going to walk into the local dealer. They're never going to, and if they happen to go online, where would they even look? Because everybody's got a website, so they have no idea who to look for. And that's why I think that the local dealers are an untapped resource.
And John, you hit the nail on the head. So my father's 75 years old. Okay. He's an immigrant from Italy, immigrated to this country in 1970. Okay. So got that old world Italian mentality. And same thing. His doctor's like, listen, you got to work out. And aside from him calling me up, because, I work with him.
He knows what you do. Yeah.
But he's that guy. He would be like, I need to go to the store. I need to visualize it, even though you could technically measure to see if it would fit in his basement. He needs to, that old school mentality. I need to see, I think that's about the right height. Let me just make sure. And he would probably grab it and try to shake it to make sure it's 30, so that when my kids, his grandkids come over, make sure, it's safe. They're not gonna, you're right. There's that whole community out there. And the other thing about the dealer community is they also have different networks that are not going to go online. So for instance, one of our dealers, this is crazy, works exclusively with yachts. Okay. So people that want to outfit their yachts. I know that's a small segment.
No, that makes sense. I was like, oh yeah. Okay.
Think about it. If you're a millionaire, or I should say a billionaire, right? And you're outfitting your yacht, are you really going to go online or even to a dealer? No, you're going to have someone that you call up that you trust, and that person, that designs the yachts has a dealer that they work with, and they're going to say, okay, this is how big the room is. I don't know how yachts work, but downstairs, and I need something that fits that. And the reason why I'm telling you this is we actually have Major Fitness B52s in a few yachts,
nice.
Because this dealer educated us on how he works with these clients. So our dealers have all these different avenues and all these different connections. Don't forget, they have to stay in business too. So they're not just waiting for someone to go on their website. They're marketing in their own ways. They're making their own connections. They're networking. So it's a really, really important piece of the puzzle. And we just want to make sure that we're, involved with them and working with them to help everyone become aware of Major Fitness.
Yeah. So we visited a dealer not that long ago, and I knew that they carried, I knew some of the brands they carried, but it wasn't until we walked in there that we saw that they carried your B52. And,
oh, really?
Yeah. And they said, so it's Fitness Depot. And then they said, oh yeah, Wes is our contact to Major Fitness.
You met Wes?
Oh wow. Yeah. I said, oh shoot. Okay. Yeah. I got Wes's number. So I was like, okay, cool. And then it kind of went on from there. But I think that's a really important point. And it's one of the reasons why I tell people, hey, if you are in the home gym community, you need to, especially if you're maybe a smaller brand, there is still value in going to something like HFA, because this is only you guys' second year at HFA, but you went there because you're like, we want to establish relationships with the dealer community. We want to be intentional about building those relationships. So,
one other part I just want to add to that, sorry, John, that's really important, is you can't also forget about that one crowd that does not want to put these machines together themselves. Okay.
Heck no.
I know as the home gym community, it's kind of, we take pride in doing that.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, once we're done, we're like, oh my God, that was heavy. And if I just missed one little thing, I got to take the weight stacks off all over again. You know,
100%.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yeah.
So there is that dealer network that caters that community is like, no, I just want to pay you and you do it, and you'll do it so quickly.
You do it correctly.
You're doing it day in and day out. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, so I remember I had to put together a B52, and I'm embarrassed to tell you how long it took me. It was my first time. Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm embarrassed to tell you. And then I saw how some of these dealers do it, and they're in and out in like an hour, sometimes less. And I'm just like, okay, times that times 4.5. And that's how long it took me to do it.
That's crazy. And like, so we've been guilty. And I would say like one of the biggest home gym review channels, they talk about how they put stuff together incorrectly all the time. And they do it all the time. We have, Naomi and I have put stuff together. We put something together upside down and didn't realize. We're like, why is this not working? Because it was upside. It was like basically the mats were upside down. But it's just like, if you have somebody come out and install it for you, they're going to do it correctly. And then they can also service it for you.
100%.
So warranty issues are a whole lot easier to handle if you've gone through a dealer network, because now you're probably going to get 2 warranties. You get your warranty, and then you'll get whatever warranty the dealer gives you.
And that's another thing that people forget about these pieces of equipment. They are pieces of equipment that move. Okay.
Yeah.
And depending on where you have it, if there's humidity, moisture or whatever, over the course of time, and I'm not saying months, I'm saying years, but still over years, you may need to change a cable or change a pulley, or, if you're like me and you have it in the garage, maybe you actually, not paying attention and you bump it with the car and and you dent it. So calling up one of these dealers, they'll be like, I'll be right out there. I'll get that part and I'll fix it. So you can't underestimate how valuable dealers are.
Yeah. And I mean, we're making, one of the things I said I wanted to do this year was being more intentional about putting the spotlight back on local dealers, because I just feel like I'm like the old guy on this, like, yelling, get off my lawn about some of the way that things are done now. And I'm like, let's pull it back. And we don't need to get rid of everything, like in terms of the way we used to do things. But I mentioned that this is only year 2 for you guys at HFA. And we spoke a little bit about HFA. We spoke a little bit at HFA about your experiences last year at the trade shows. So between HFA and your first year at Home Gym Con, we think that you guys made leaps and bounds when we saw you again, right? So it was like HFA 1, Home Gym Con, then we saw you at HFA 2, and we're like, oh, this looks so much better, right? So how much did you guys learn from experiencing how different the crowds are at the HFA show? What you saw when you went to FIBO last year, and then the people you encountered at Home Gym Con. How much did these experiences and the different types of crowds help you when you guys are putting together HFA and what you're going to be doing at Home Gym Con?
So it's kind of twofold. First was these experiences were invaluable. Okay. It was our first time doing each one of them. We didn't know what to expect. And when you and I were talking at HFA, just a few weeks ago in San Diego, I remember you said, well, you kind of scaled it down and I like it better. And that's kind of funny because it wasn't on purpose. It was kind of on accident.
Yeah.
But so let me explain what I mean by this. The reason why we went so big at HFA last year is people come to expect a certain level of like marketing. And if you look at our Instagram, our marketing, our team does a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah. Evis is knocking out the park. Yeah.
She's great. And we have another team that works with Evis that, she's like the head of marketing, but she has a whole team behind her and they do a great job. Okay. So
Alan.
What's that?
Alan, I think his name is.
Alan is actually our new CEO in the US.
Okay.
So he's based in China, but you met him. He came.
Yeah. Okay.
And
anyway, go ahead.
Basically, we were like kind of, well, people come to expect a certain level from us. We have to follow through on that, and that's why we had all the giveaways and the music and what was it? Those games, the hammer and I don't know if you remember last year at HFA, there was a line going around because people wanted to hit the hammer, see how strong they could be. We gave away really high-end gym bags. I'm not going to lie. I was like, I kind of want one of these.
Yeah.
They weren't, they looked like, well, they weren't leather, but they kind of had that feel to them. So then this year we're like, oh my God, HFA got booked so quickly. And we kind of wanted something that big, and we're like, oh, we only have this little booth.
Yeah.
And it kind of worked out because we're like, wait a minute, as great as that is, people at HFA are dealers. Okay.
Yes.
They're not there for like the games and
it's interesting. They're like, oh yeah, this is cool, but
that's not why they're there. And we're like,
exactly.
wait a minute, this is actually better for us because the dealers can concentrate on the product.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of distraction with all that noise.
Yeah.
And we had some really, productive conversations with current dealers and new dealers. So it was kind of on accident, but we learned from it.
Yeah.
Home Gym Con, completely different. Okay. Dealers are real. We had 2 dealers that came there that you didn't even know were going to be there. That's more for that person, I think, that goes on our website, sees it, and is like, oh, well, I'm going to be in Kentucky, or I live in Kentucky. Let me just see if I could, see what's going on.
I like it.
Cool atmosphere, gym. There was strongman competitions going on. There was all this stuff. And like, oh, now I get to see it in person. And it's more so for that person that most likely is going to come to Home Gym Con and then go back to our website and buy it.
Right. Yeah. So you can't that's the thing is like, I tell people who like brand owners, I'm like, you don't expect to like make massive sales, but what's going to happen is because you were there, you're going to get, I don't know how many people have signed up to attend, but let's say there's 150 people who sign up to attend. You're going to get 150 potential advertisers.
Yes.
And free advertisers. What you're doing is convincing these 150 people to advertise for you.
Yes.
So that to me is like the investment potential, especially if one of them happens to take a unit home. Now you're going to get content from them 365 days. You'll get content from that person. Right. But also I thought that your presentation at Home Gym Con, it was very similar to what you did at HFA. At HFA, I thought that it worked in a way like you were getting traffic because it was so different from the 2 booths around you guys. Like there was nothing to do at those booths. You went there, and so you guys stood out because it's like, oh, there's something to do here. This is cool. All right. But then you said like how it still was better this year when you took all that out. At Home Gym Con, I feel like because you had like all the other stuff, it was distracting from people going up and experiencing your equipment so that they could become excited and film at your booth because that's part of like the advertising thing, right? I thought that presentation was great for the Arnold.
Which we tried to go to, and that shockingly books up quicker than you could imagine. We didn't think the Arnold would book up quicker than all the other it was just we wanted to go, and it was just we couldn't get a booth.
So like whenever we go, we have to apply for our media passes almost a year in advance.
Yeah, see, we're learning. It's like now we know for next year.
It gets packed up quick. But yeah, and then I think FIBO maybe is also like that, but I've never been there. So I just think it was really cool for me to see. The biggest thing for me is like it was really cool for me to see you guys like taking feedback, learning and growing. And it's like a continuous pattern across your company. You take feedback, you learn, you grow. And the next time we see that the product is always a better version of Major Fitness. Something I will tell you since we're talking about feedback is I really like the YouTube live streams y'all did last year. Where you announced upcoming products, you broke down products, like you'd have the B52, people could just ask questions or whatever and go over specs and stuff. Do you know if this is something you guys are going to be doing in 2026?
So yeah, we just had a meeting this past Monday where Evis, our head of marketing, broke down everything for 2026, and it's jam-packed. So I can't get too much into it because that's her job and I can't really announce anything.
Okay.
I'll give you some examples. So the ones that you're talking about are the ones that I think Matt's was the one that was entering. Okay. So
the strongman competitor?
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's actually based in China. He's great. We're going to continue with those. I don't know if you saw that we did a big event in New York City under the High Line.
Pop-up, yeah.
Pop-up, okay. We had influencers there. They were live streaming. We had competitions. We had the C17 there, a version of it. That was kind of almost like a pre-launch kind of for it. But we're doing something like that in Philadelphia in, I think, maybe less than 2 months. So I will let you know when that pops up. But yeah, we're just going to continue. We want to continue to not only push the brand, but help educate people. We want to let people know, and we talked about this at HFA. Major Fitness wants to do things their own way. And I
Yes.
don't mean that in a good or bad way. I'm just saying, typically, like if you and I were going to start our own home gym company, right? It's kind of obvious. We would say, well, what is everyone else doing? Maybe we
Right.
should do that, you know? Major Fitness is a little different. They're like, we just want to do our thing
Yeah.
because we don't, not that it's right or wrong that what other companies are doing, but we don't want to just follow them or do it because it's the way it's always been done. Now, we
Right.
might do something and then it might not be right, you know, or it might not work out, and that's fine. But we just, you know, want to do things our way. And one of the things I want to touch upon, and I know maybe we could talk about this later, is our customer service. Okay.
Yes.
We had, I'll never forget this one dealer who called me on my cell phone, and I thought something was wrong because he's like, John, I can't believe it. And I was like, Mike, what happened? And he's like, you actually sent the pin out to the customer. I was like, yeah, well, you said it wasn't in the box. Probably was in the box. Maybe that's not a big deal. He goes, yeah, but all I did was said that and you sent it out the next day.
Yeah.
And I was like, Mike, what's going on here? What's the big deal? He's like, nobody does that. He's like, they'll make you send, 10 pictures, the serial number. They have to investigate it. And he's like, sometimes it takes 3 months to get a pin. And that's what I mean by we just want to do things our way. And our, mentality behind that is no one is sitting at home and saying, I'm going to try to scam Major Fitness out of a pin. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. I'm going to get rich by scam. Like, so why would we make you jump through hoops for a pin?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense.
And I think that's the thing. And whenever you see like warranties, it takes the teeth out of a warranty, which I'm a big fan of. You see these warranties and then you're like, okay, well, then if you go read the fine print, like how do I actually, if something goes wrong, how do I, take advantage of the warranty protections? And then it's like, okay, I got to pay to ship this thing back. It's got to be in the original box. It's a power rack. How's it still going to be in the original box? And I got to pay to ship a power rack back so you can verify that whatever went wrong with it is something that's my fault, right? I don't like that kind of stuff because it's basically how you get out of honoring your warranty. I will say
that's what we don't want to do because we're trying to say is listen, we get things happen. Yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think it's really important. I think it's really important for me to give you this one example. One of my dealers got to the customer's house, okay, started setting up the B52. And listen, stuff happens. We don't even know. Maybe it happened in the shipping container. The first upright, the 2x3, had a big dent in it. Like you couldn't even put the carriage on it, okay? He calls us up. He sends us a picture. And Amanda, who's the best head of customer service like there is, went out the next day. Okay. That's it. When I called Amanda, I was like, Amanda, do you need anything else? She's like, no, we don't want to have, the customer with all these parts now laying in their garage or their basement, wherever
unusable, it
is. Because if we said, send us more pictures, send us a picture of the box with the serial number, think about the dealer already unboxed everything and it's sitting in that guy's basement or garage. So you understand? It's like, why no one's thinking like, oh, I'm going to scam them out of, what are you going to do with an extra upright? There's nothing you can do with it. So obviously it really was dented.
So here's the thing. Well, there's two things. First, I want to follow up on that is my impression is that when companies make you do that with all those pictures, it's because that's going to help you guys build your case to go to the shipping carrier so you can present your claim against them. Like, hey, you guys broke or dented this thing. We need to get reimbursement. We have to take care of the customer, but it wasn't our fault. You guys are the ones who threw it off the truck. So here's our evidence to them. And I will say I have had shipping carriers reach back out to me. First of all, they always reach out a long time after I've already thrown the box away, right? So that's why I always say, take pictures. And that way, if they do reach out, if UPS or FedEx or Postal Service does reach out to you, you've still got pictures and you can say, okay, here it is. Because they're going to say, if you guys reach out to them and say, we got a claim for a damaged B52, they're going to want to see evidence, right? And then they'll probably reach out to me, hey, can we inspect this product? I'm like, well, I don't have it anymore. I threw the box away or whatever, right? So if I got pictures, that helps you guys out a little bit. So I do understand why companies want pictures.
You got to look at the other side of that, though, because here's the thing. Even if you do all that, I'm going to lose the sale now because you're going to get so upset that you got to wait 3 months for this. You're going to tell the dealer, listen, it's in that 30-year warranty, return it, give me the other unit that's on your floor, a different brand. So we look at it from that aspect. Like we get to go back to the carrier, but what's a bigger loss?
Yeah.
Us not making the sale and having them upset with Major Fitness, or us taking a hit on, what is it? Maybe $100, $200. I don't know how much these cost. So that's how we look at it. It's all how we look at things. But
I'm just saying, it's like you do it simultaneously. Like, okay, yeah, I'm happy to send you the pictures, but while I'm waiting, but like, okay, we're sending you out the new one.
Exactly.
Do us a favor, take pictures of the box while you're waiting for the new one to come out. We're sorry it's taking so long. And then the second thing I wanted to say is something, because the examples we're using right here are when somebody had a dealer set up stuff. This stuff also happens when somebody just orders it themselves, right?
Yes.
And I want to give you a shout out. I did mention it on the show before, but I want to give you a shout out again for anybody who maybe didn't see that. And that was the situation when somebody had ordered a Major Fitness bench, and they posted on it was posted on Instagram where the bench failed.
Yes.
And I'm giving a shout out because I'm like, John didn't pay me to say this or anything like that, but I saw it. It just happened to come across my Instagram feed. And I said, well, what did Major Fitness say when you reached out to them? And they're like, well, they haven't. Instead, it was just posted on Instagram. So I was like, okay. So then, because I had your contact information, I shot you a text. I said, hey, man, I just want you to see this. And then I just stepped back, and you actually reached out to the person, took care of it. The person who had posted that video let me know that you guys, like, they independently confirmed that you guys had taken care of it. And that's the kind of thing that I'm hard on companies as far as customer service, but I also want to recognize when you guys do things correctly, when you do what you say you're going to do.
And we appreciate that. And and there's a lot of things to touch on that. First off, that's why we appreciate everyone we work with, not just dealers, but even you, John, like everyone. We believe in having partners, a network, and just treating everyone right. And it's not because the guy posted on Instagram that we were like, oh my God, this looks bad. It was more so because we wanted to understand, why did it fail? And if you remember, he sent us the model, and he was, I don't want to say the incorrect information, but he was bench pressing way more than that bench was able to hold, because it wasn't one of our Pro Series benches. It was one of our Amazon benches, which is transparent. What we sell on Amazon is for the lower price point for certain people. So what we said was, hey, since you are a beast and you're a bench pressing, let us send you one of our pro benches.
Yeah.
You know, and he actually ended up getting the right bench free of charge. And it wasn't because we wanted him to say, oh, he gave me a free bench. You know, it was more so we wanted to educate, hey, if you're going to be doing 300 pounds, those Amazon benches are for, you know, like, you know, maybe the person who just is going to do like 100-pound bench press, you know what I mean? Someone who's just getting into working out. If you're a serious lifter, you want to, you know, our new, I think it's AH64 bench or something like that, you know? So it was more about educating people like, hey, we make those really heavy duty benches as well too. But we appreciate, like, I really appreciate that you shot me a text message, because it let me know that, you know, our relationships out in the industry are working. I don't want anyone to ever say, I can't text John. I told you, all my dealers have my cell phone number, every single one of them. And, you know, sometimes they'll text me on a Saturday, you know, and I have 3 kids, so maybe I don't respond right away. But at some point I will get back to them on that Saturday.
And the thing is, like, so I'm obviously not a dealer. I don't sell Major Fitness stuff. I don't have any financial relationship with your company. But I also, when I see stuff, I'm like, all right, I could see in the post, all it said was, look at this Major Fitness bench, it failed, right? And I was like, okay, let's be fair, you know, and let's give the company a chance to respond or whatever. And I didn't even know that it was like the Amazon version of a bench.
Yeah, right? It wasn't rated for that much weight. He was lifting something really heavy, if I remember correctly.
I remember, that's exactly it. But it's like, so the twofold thing in there is, that's part of why when you shop on Amazon, or why when you shop for a bench, if you're not online, I mean, if you're not going to a dealer, see how we keep coming back to dealer.
Yeah, there you go.
Buy something online, you need to look at the specs. Like, what's this rated for? And I think too often people will buy something and say, oh, I'm not that strong. Well, you're not that strong now, but what's the side effect of lifting weights? You're going to get stronger, right?
Well, John, when you were at HFA, what were you benching? Remember that one video that you posted?
Oh, it was like 324.
Okay, 324. So pretend you walk into my store. I'm a dealer, right?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm interested. I'm going to be like, "Well, this guy's a beast over here." I don't even have to ask you how much you bench, but I'm going to see that you're a big guy. And then I'm going to say, "Oh, so tell me." And you're going to be like, "Well, I like to really push it certain days and go up to 300.
Yeah.
You think I'm going to walk you over to those $99 benches?
Yeah.
And that's what the dealer's there for.
Exactly. And I mean, I just, it's a so that's one element of it. Now, you brought up the AH64, that's your Apache, right? That's
Yes.
the one that was at HFA. And I gotta say, I told Chris this also. I did not like the bench surface because it's so slick. I understand why it's slick. It's a commercial bench. It's easier to clean a bench that's got a slicker surface. But for somebody who's like me, it's like, hey, I want something. I mean, you're a strength athlete, so you understand. I want a grippier bench that's gonna, I don't feel like I'm gonna. So I was Larson pressing at HFA because I was afraid if I put in leg drive that I would slide off.
Slide off, right? Okay.
Yeah, because I tried it with the first set. I said, "Oh, we're not gonna do that again." Because if it does that with 135, what's going to happen when I have more weight, right? So, what is your alternative? And I'll pull it up on your website. What's the alternative bench that you would advise somebody to use that's sturdy, but also has a grippier surface than that AH64 bench?
So 2 things. Remember how we always talked about we listen to feedback?
Yeah.
So apparently that feedback went over really like to high levels from HFA. And again, I don't want to say
feedback I just gave you or from other people.
From you and other people that were there
Okay.
at HFA. But I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth because this is at a higher level HU. But apparently we're coming out with a cloth version of it.
Of the same Apache.
I think. I don't want to say if it's not true.
Will it be a different bench or will it be, as far as you know?
That's why I'm not sure. I think it might be the same one, because it might be
different service. Okay.
It's funny because you bring up Wes, and Wes who has 20 years experience in the industry from all different aspects. I said to him, I was like, Wes, I'm just curious, why did we, come out with this? And he said, believe it or not, we were talking about this AHA is you have to go with the majority. Like, obviously we can't make 85 different benches.
Sure.
And this is something that he said sells more often for a home gym simply because of what you said. People want to be able to just wipe it down. So it's clean. It's easier.
It's easy to clean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So at that same time, though, if we see a lot of people are like, no, we kind of want something that's not as shiny and I don't care about wiping it down, we will listen. Perfect example of that is, not to change topics, but the B17. If you remember what it looked like, the HFA last year or this year, completely different. That was all the feedback we got.
If you hadn't told me that was the B17, I wouldn't have known. I thought it was a new.
No, that was. But you remember at HFA we had a prototype that was had all.
It didn't even have a name yet.
It didn't even have a name. I know. I think everyone at the booth was calling it something different.
Yeah. It's like I talked. Yeah. So I did see that. I mean, just for me, and again, when I look at like the fact that the bench isn't grippy, I think about it like, okay, let's work backwards. I'm probably going to be, average person is lifting alone. Or so many people in the home gym community have young kids. So you're lifting maybe like your 3-year-olds there, right? Okay, then you do something, you get hurt. All right, well, who's calling 911? It's either you by yourself or you hope your elementary school kid was paying attention in school when they told how to call 911. Because now you're just, you're that high. My dad's unconscious on the bench. I don't know what he did to himself. You know what I mean? And so I just, I like a grippier bench. But I get it. It's like,
I get it. Everyone. That's why, this was what we knew the majority wanted at first, and then we'll make iterations on it because it's like anything. My dad is a big Porsche guy. Okay. So I'm like kind of learning about Porsches. I don't know.
I'm starting to learn a lot about your family. We're talking about yachts and Porsches.
No, listen, I cannot afford a Porsche and I cannot afford a yacht. Just because I said he's a big Porsche guy doesn't mean he owns a lot of Porsches.
He's looking at pictures of Porsches. I got you. Okay.
And apparently the Porsche community is like one of those ones where everyone has their opinion on the smallest little thing. But Porsche has to sell to the majority. So it's kind of, I'm not trying to compare our benches to a Porsche 911, but it's kind of that same thing. Like, you have these enthusiasts that like, the new Porsche came out and they're like going crazy because they don't like something. But the reason Porsche shit is because, they got to sell 100,000 units this year and they can't cater to that 1%. Not that you're the 1%. I'm just saying.
No, I understand.
We went with what we thought the majority wanted. And if that's not the case, or if we see a viable to have 2 options, we will definitely do that.
Yeah, I guess it does make sense too, because again, you're talking about like people who are not necessarily benching like a power lifter. So they're not using leg drive. They lay down on the bench and everything is from like basically the rib cage up in terms of a bench press for them.
Yep.
So the slickness of the bench probably doesn't matter to them. We got a good question here from Spencer, but first I want to pull up what Rex said, and we got 10 more minutes with you, so I want to make sure we use the time wisely. So Rex said, he said, reading the specs can sure save a person time and money and possibly prevent injury. That is 100% accurate. That's exactly what we were talking about earlier. So you need to read, even if you are on Amazon shopping, look at the specs. The problem I have with Amazon is I don't really trust the listed specs from brands, especially when a brand has one of those. You can usually tell if a brand is one of these fly-by-night companies, because sometimes they will flat out just copy and paste from another brand. I'm sure it's happened to you guys. They would just copy what you guys write on a product page, change the name of the product, and even though their product has nothing to do in terms of quality or anything like that with yours, they just reuse your specs. So buyer beware if you're on Amazon buying it weight equipment. That's I'm just gonna say that. Spencer says, morning everyone. What's up, man? He said, at what point is it not worth selling a bench / equipment because it's too cheaply made or with too cheap of materials? So that's actually I guess it's a philosophical question, but I'll let you answer that.
I want to make sure I understand the question. At what point is it not worth selling a bench because it's too? You mean like what? At what point would you not recommend it to someone because it's not adequate? I just want to make sure I'm understanding the question.
Yeah, because to me it sounds like at what point is it like the in the effort to save cost, you've made the bench so cheaply that it's not worth it to sell it. Because I also say, well, how many times are we going to get sued?
Yeah,
because this thing, you know.
First of all, everything Major Fitness does is rigorously tested. So we have a video. I got to find it. I know we had it on one of the screens at HFA last year that shows we have a whole testing facility where the testing that's done on this thing is crazy. Like they literally drop 1,500 pounds on the safety arms. You know, they put a static amount, but then they also drop it to see what point things break and things like that. So benches are made for all different price points because you got to understand there are people that are going to look at HFA last year, okay, or even this year. There's some benches that we saw that were $790, $890, okay? Those things are beasts. We don't make them, other companies do. But if we go back to my dad, do you think he wants that in his, so he's probably going to say, listen, I'm 76 years old. I just want to, get the joints moving. So he might, one that is cheaply made that can handle, 150 pounds might be good enough for him. So we make it for all different price points, but we're very sure to be like, listen, this is made for this weight capacity. Please do not go over it like that one person did. Thankfully, he didn't get hurt.
Right. So Carlos still has an Amazon bench. You say he uses it for seated cable pulls. I'm making it useful. That's because you just can't make yourself get rid of something that you, because Carlos is like, I spent money on this. I'm going to use it. I don't care if I use it as a doorstop. I'm not getting rid of this. Carlos, uncoachable. Carp has a good point. He says, a company reached out to me to review something, and he saw the weight capacity. He said, sometimes your body weight is more than the weight capacity. He said, so if my body weight is over the weight capacity, I know definitely my bench press plus my body weight is over the weight capacity. And that happens to me quite a bit. It's like, I'll see some things, I'm not naming any names. Like they'll send me something. It's not you guys, but they'll send me something. and I look at the weight capacity. I'm like, dude, I couldn't even do dumbbells with this because it's just not going to do it. I'm like, why would I? Like, it's a waste of my time and of yours. So I'm just going to turn this one down. Yeah.
But it goes to the point that I think it was Carps made earlier. That's why you really have to look at the specifications. We're working out. You want to be safe. You don't want to take a chance.
Yeah. Carp said a bench is one thing you want to spend money on to get good quality because it's literally the one thing that can kill you the easiest, having a bar over your head or your neck. So
absolutely,
I agree. He said if you're going to buy a cheap bench, make sure you have safeties, and hopefully the safeties are better than a bench.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, hey, I'm just like, look, what's the thing I always say is like, it's the cost of the bench versus the cost of dental surgery.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, just make up your mind. What's important to you? You know what I mean? So I do want to say last question for me, and then I want you to kind of let people know how they can get in touch with you guys if they want something, like want to order something. But one thing that we talked about is how people are surprised that you guys are following through and all that. You've been working hard on trying to change this perception, but does it frustrate you? On the one level, it's like, oh yeah, cool, I'm glad I exceeded your expectations. On another level, does it bother you that the expectations are so low that they don't think you guys are going to follow through? And how do you correct that?
I would say it's more of a shock to us because, it's kind of like, wait, why do people not do it this way? You know what I mean? Why is it? So I wouldn't say it's frustrating. It's just we want to be, and every company wants to stand out, but we want to stand out from multiple aspects. First and foremost, our products. That's number one. We want to have great products that people love, could get a good workout, are cost effective, meaning we don't want to charge an arm and a leg, but we also want to make sure it's good quality. So we got to find that right balance. We want to make sure that as a company, people trust us. They can reach out to us, get a response in a timely manner. And, stuff happens. We're not going to say that, it doesn't happen, but we're going to fix it. And we just kind of, like I said, we want to do our own thing. It's yes, we see other companies are doing it differently, not good or bad. We just get that that's how they do it. And we want to do things our way. But it is more of a shock that more companies don't do things the way that I wouldn't say the way that we do it, because I'm not saying we're the best, but it's shocking they don't do things a way that you would expect them to.
I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is like, do you guys say that you're comfortable with who you are. Mm-hmm. All right, there's different tiers. Okay, so you've got like this super high-end equipment companies that they're not even like, you wouldn't see them at Home Gym Con. Mm-hmm. They're the people who like they design specifically, exclusively for yachts, right? Yes. Or whatever, right? And then you've got like the low end. They just started yesterday. They got an Amazon storefront and they're off to the races, right? You guys are neither one of those things. If we're going to come, since we've been using cars, I would say that you guys are your economy. So you're affordable, but you also you're moving into like the high end of the economy.
We're a Hyundai then. Hyundai is their economy, but they're.
But you're working your way up to Honda. You're working your way up to Honda.
Listen, Hyundai has that new Palisade. That thing's like a Mercedes or a BMW, but it's affordable without spending a Mercedes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So, but at the same time, do you think that the perception of you guys is like, I don't know, festiva?
No, I don't think that, because, I got to give it to our marketing team. Yeah. They do a good job of having the right people out there educating, whether it's influencers or dealers, on our products. Okay. I think the only thing is our price point. Okay. I never thought being so attractive would be a bad thing. Okay. And not that it's a bad thing, but I feel sometimes, I'll give you an example. I had a dealer that is in a very, very wealthy area. Okay. Right. And he said, every time people come to him, they automatically have at least an $8,000 budget for a rack setup. And they get there and he's like, well, did you take a look at the B52 or the C17? And he said, John, I sell a lot of them. And I said to him, I was like, wait a minute, don't you make more money on the $7,000 one? And he goes, not really. But he goes, even if I did, I have a reputation. If I sell them something just to sell them $7,000, then I'm the guy who kind of swindled them, because if I sell them the right thing, they're going to refer 10 of their friends to be like, dude, I went there to spend $7,000. I got everything I need for $4,000 or $2,600, whatever, the price is. So, like with a package, with a bench or whatever it may be. Yeah. So I think we're really happy with where we are. And we just want to continue to educate people to let us know that the reason why we're able to sell things the way we are is because one person owns our company. He owns the factory. He owns the logistics. He owns everything. So a lot of our competition, like if you and I were going to start a company tomorrow, we don't own a factory. We're going to have to.
Right.
So right there, our price has to go up.
Yeah.
So it's more about educating the people on the quality and why we're able to offer the prices that we do.
Got it. I mean, that makes sense. Jake is in the chat. He says, have you seen the new Kias? They look pretty good. I have not, but I will go check them out. Yeah, we're a Nissan family, so there's that.
I was just looking at the new Armada.
Yeah, we've gotten like we're on our fourth Nissan Rogue right now. But we don't have time to talk about cars because you got to get out of here. So I told you, I promised I would kick you out at 7:45.
If you want, I can stay 2 more minutes. If you want to just finish up on a few other things, I know you had.
Hey, okay, yeah. So to continue with that though, because again, we're still on the perception thing. Do you think that at some point the value of having the lower price stuff on Amazon will actually be holding you guys back in terms of how people perceive you? Because Amazon's so big that I would say that most people are going to first encounter your company on Amazon, and the first thing they're going to see is the benches that aren't rated for 300 pounds or whatever. So is there a point at which, and again, it's another philosophical thing that maybe, not your area, but do you think that at some point it may be worth it to say, you know what, we're staying on Amazon, but maybe we bump up the quality of what we're going to put on here?
So it's more theory versus real world application. And what we learned, because you're right, in theory, you think that might happen. And what we learned is actually people go to Amazon, see that, okay? Like if you and I went to Amazon and we saw Major Fitness, we'd be like, I like the price point, but that's not going to do what I need. And then everyone nowadays, that's the beauty of the internet and how fast everything on the phone. They go Major Fitness and now they see, wait a minute, they make the C17.
They have other stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or B7. Am I calling it the wrong? Was I saying it wrong?
You said C17.
Oh, sorry. See, I'm even calling it the wrong. But so it's really not affecting us as much because everyone nowadays is just quickly, Major Fitness. Oh, cool. They make this as well. They make this as well. So it's not affecting us the way we thought it possibly could. It's actually the opposite. It's bringing more attention to us. And then people are, brought to our website or then go to a dealer. Because I told you, I've dealers say to me that people walk in there with their cell phone and be like, you got this. I saw it either on Instagram or on Amazon or whatever the case may be. And even the ones on Amazon, they're like, I like this price point, but this is not going to do it for me. And that's when you're like, they have a B17 or a B52.
So at Fitness Depot, they actually said that. They said that Major Fitness actually moves pretty well for them because you guys do such a good job. Again, shout out to Evis and her entire team. They said that you guys do so much marketing that when people come and they see it, they're like, well, like we were. We're like, oh, you've got this, right? I didn't realize you guys had this. And so it kind of helps them out because you've done some of the sales for them before the person even walks in the door. So keeping on with that, how can people, number one, find out when your next pop-up is? Where can they go to find a local dealer? How can they sign up for your newsletter if they just want to know about what your latest drops are? And if you want to give us a sneak preview of what you're going to do at Home Gym Con, I won't stop you.
So the only problem with that is I don't even know yet because we're going to FIBO next week.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Next week. Yeah. So, and it's our first time going to Germany at this, the largest conference, right? A fitness conference in the world. It's like 5 buildings.
Okay.
So we're really concentrated on that. I don't even know what to expect at FIBO, to be honest with you.
Okay.
Where it's kind of like, we're making that last minute rush to make sure everything's fine, make sure everything gets there. So Home Gym Con, I truly have no idea. FIBO is the next big thing. To get a hold of us, the best thing to do is go to our website, majorfitness.com, and subscribe to our newsletter. That's where you find all about pop-ups, events, sales. And then also from there, we have a dealer portal. So 2 sides. If you're a dealer watching this and you want to become a dealer, you just click become a dealer button. Or if you're watching this and you're in Nevada, okay, and you're like, I want to try Major Fitness. You go there, you type in Nevada, it says all our dealers that have the products in Nevada.
Okay. And then we have one question from Carby. Said other companies have come on here that were budget or mid-level that now offer 11 gauge steel versions of their current options. Do you guys plan on going to 11 gauge steel for racks and benches?
At the moment, we don't, and here's the reason why. We actually tested this out. So we have 12 gauge. Okay. We were looking at who is buying our benches and listening to our dealers. Believe it or not, like I told you, I can't stress enough how important our dealers are. And we were saying, do people really want 12 gauge? But if we go to 12 gauge, this is what the cost increase is going to be. Okay. Right. And dealers were saying, no. They were like, it's such a small percentage of people that care from 12 to, don't get me wrong, if we were at 14, that's a big difference. You know, from 12, which we have now, to 11, that one gauge, yes, it's thicker. It doesn't justify the cost. And we haven't had any, like our dealer said, no one has come in and really said, oh, I'm not buying it because it's 12 and not 11.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so at the moment, we don't have plans for that. I'm not going to say that's not going to change on maybe a future product. But at the moment, people, again, we're all about feedback, because how many times, you know, you have theory of what you think is going to work.
Yeah.
Then real world application is completely different.
Yeah. It does come back again to the people who are watching this show. A lot of the people who go to Home Gym Con are in that, you know, they want the 11 gauge steel market. But a lot of the people who are going to just stop at a dealer, or who just tomorrow say, I want to start working out. First of all, they don't even know about gauges of steel.
Yes.
They have no idea, right?
Because they read online that I need to see 11. And so they ask.
Yes, but I mean, even before they have it, like until like I knew 11 gauge steel was an option, I didn't know the difference between, actually, until I got a 14 gauge steel piece of equipment, I didn't know that there were different gauges of steel for power racks until I got something, and I was like, why am I bolting this down and it's dimpling?
It's dimpling.
Because because some real quick, the first job out of college was at a gym. So all the stuff there was 11 gauge steel. So I had never encountered, and then I started working out at the school gym, the university gym. All the stuff there was 11 gauge steel. I had no idea. I mean, I grant you this is back in the 20th century in 1993. So, but I had no idea that anything less than 11 gauge steel was even there, right? So it was until later that I learned about it. But the average person coming in, all they're going to see is the picture online, and then they're like, okay, well, you know, what's available. So I do understand that. Well, man, look, you got to get out of here because you got other responsibilities. I appreciate you coming on, spending time with us. I want to get some behind the scenes pictures from FIBO while you're there. So text them to me. I want to see them because I've never gone.
We're so excited. And the thing is, apparently it's like 5 different buildings. So it's not even one building. So like each building is dedicated for something. Yeah. So we're excited to be there. It's our first time there. I'll give you a little hint. You know, the reason we're there is maybe new things are on the horizon. So I can't really say anything more than that.
All right. So I need a video of the new thing sent to me.
Not product wise, not product wise. New ways that people could get a hold of Major Fitness products. Put it that way.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
Everybody said too much.
Hey, that's what I do here. Get out of here before you get in trouble. All right, man. Appreciate it, John. Later. All right. So that was my guy, John Offreda from Major Fitness. Appreciate him spending time here. And you guys knew I wasn't going to let him get out of here without getting him to reveal something he shouldn't, because that's what I do to people. Ha ha! Sammy, brace yourself. You're going to reveal secrets. All right. Anyway, good morning to those of you who are in the Mountain Time Zone who are just joining us. If you are just now checking out, joining the show, you're going to want to rewind and watch my interview that I just completed with John Offreda, who is the National Director of Sales for Major Fitness. Had a great conversation about customer service, about the importance of local dealers to the home gym community that you really, really need to check out. And if you're watching and you're part of the replay gang, do me a favor and put a comment. Let me know if you have any experience at shopping at local dealers for your home gym equipment, or if you only purchase online. So you can just simply say online, or you can put the name of the dealer that you bought something from. That way we can kind of just get that information, because I am trying to see if things are starting to shift a little bit in the home gym community. So that'll help us out. So make sure you're dropping your comments. And additionally, my next guest on the show is Sammy Sebok. He's trained as a physical therapy assistant, and he's also a former powerlifter. Sammy totaled elite, I believe, in the 275-pound weight class, and he was in the top 20 in the world in the 308 weight class in 2019. So he was the Natural Athlete Strength Association Athlete of the Year, I believe, in 2017. So Sammy is a very accomplished lifter, but he's not focusing on himself. Instead, he has founded Iron Saints Athletics, which is a business that guarantees measurable improvements in speed, power, and agility within 30 sessions, or they will continue training that athlete for free. So they've helped over 2,200 athletes so far. And today, Sammy is going to be joining us to talk about programming, give us some best practices if you're an athlete who's coming back from injury. So we have limited time with Sammy. If you would like for him to assess your form in a lift, he coaches equipped and raw lifters. If you would like for him to assess your form in a lift, you need to DM it to @Garage Gym Life Media on Instagram, and that way then I can go and pull it up. I have my Instagram DMs open, and I will pull it up if I see one. That way, Sammy can assess your form, okay? But we've got a limited amount of time with him, and I want to make sure that we don't waste any of your time, okay? So if you are interested, like I said, go ahead and shoot. It can, if you've already got it on your Instagram, that's perfect. But just DM it to @Garage Gym Life Media on Instagram. Final thing, if you are watching on LinkedIn, make sure that you guys are following our LinkedIn show page, Garage Gym Life Media. Make sure you follow it. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a favor and hit that like button and hit subscribe. That way we continue to grow the channel. All right. And last of all, make sure you are putting your questions and comments in the live chat, or if you're in the replay gang, make sure you're commenting. All right. Sammy, you ready? He said, yes, I am. All right. So let's go ahead and let's bring him on. Final guest of the day. Warm welcome for Sammy Sebok. That applause is for the beard.
Thank you.
The beard alone gets applause. What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you doing?
You sound like you're still asleep.
Oh, this
way too early.
Lives up to its name for sure. I got my energy drink here, and I'm trying to wake up.
Hey, look, it's in the name. I tell y'all, it's up way too early. This is if it makes you feel worse, I've been up since 4, and I still have this level of energy because I've been drinking pre-workout. So yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, but I appreciate you taking time and getting up way too early with us. Most of the people I interview, from the coaching world anyway, they are either performance coaches, so they're strength coaches of some kind, speed coaches, whatever, or they're on the physical therapy side, so they're like rehab coaches or mobility coaches. Occasionally it's a physical therapist. I wanted to interview you, not just because we have history, because you've done videos, we did interviews with you back when we did the magazine, but also because you have a background in both areas. You're a physical therapy assistant, and you're also not just a strength coach, but you also coach powerlifters. So, and then on top of that, you're also a pastor, which is a lot. I have your single ply numbers from Open Powerlifting, and I'm going to read those off so people kind of understand what I mean. Because if I say, okay, he totaled elite, people who don't compete in powerlifting, they don't know what that means, right? So I'm going to give out your single ply numbers, and then because you don't compete raw, or you never competed raw, you can give us some idea what your gym numbers are as well. All right. So your numbers in single ply were 804.7, that is pounds. You benched 622.8 pounds, and you deadlifted 666.9. So before you give me the raw numbers, I'm going to say, I got to get you back on the platform to correct that deadlift. All right. I cannot have my brother in Christ roaming the earth with a deadlift that has 666 in the number. We gotta stop that right now. Okay. All right. Like, what's going on there?
I always tell myself it's 667.
Okay. But
you're
rounding up hard. Okay.
But no, that was so I did totaled over 2,000 in the 275 and 308 class, and that particular meet was the first meet I had done after that I had started working exclusively for myself.
Okay.
And so when I did that, my amount of stress went way down, my amount of sleep went way up. So without trying, I lost like almost 20 pounds and 4 inches off my waist.
Okay.
And it didn't seem to affect my strength, but the
Okay.
difference in, going
Getting
to a
ready for
meet,
Speedo season. Okay.
the difference in going to a meet and, trying like 95 to 100% of your equipped max versus, like training in the gym is a little different. So I only got my opener on squat. I squatted like 720. I just missed like a PR on bench, like 634, like right at lockout. And 666 was like the very least I could do and pull a PR that meet and still get a PR for the meet. And I was like, I'm not letting that number,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, but I mean, you didn't see it because you
I'm
were
going
looking
to
at
go
it in
pull that
kilos.
666 and get my PR for the day.
Yeah, I mean, but you were looking at it in kilos anyway. So
Yeah.
So like that's the tough part about using kilos, because the next weight up would be 305. I think that what you did was 302, and the next number up is 305. That doesn't sound like a lot, but that's 672.4, which may have been a little bit much given the kind of day you were saying you were having. So keep that in perspective. And then it's crazy how, because you're in a suit, a lot of it depends on how the suit fits. So if you lose weight all of a sudden, now the suit is too loose, it can't give you don't get the same pop. So definitely first world problems, but at the same time, hey. So tell me what your raw numbers were. What's your best raw squat?
So again, like you said, these are in the gym. It's not like, we just randomly did these. So I had squatted probably around the time I was squatting like low 700s. I did 650 in wraps.
Okay.
And then around the time I did that 800, I had squatted like 620 in sleeves. Like coming back or starting back training after meet, pretty easy, but it was a big PR. So I was like, I'm not going to push that anymore. And then I've done like, I think it was like 710 with like a reverse micro band, which is what we use a lot of times for our athletes to, kind of peak. And we typically hit anywhere from like 30 pounds less to equal. So I'd say probably around at my strongest, if I would actually got ready for meet, I'd have squatted around 700.
Okay.
I benched, 405 raw. Probably if I would actually have been focusing on raw and, like my stuff would have been geared toward power off my chest instead of making sure I can lock out, those super maximal weights, probably 440, 450.
Yeah.
And then deadlift, it would have probably been around the same. Like I think I've done like 620s or so.
Okay.
Until I strained a hip rotator at one point. I never deadlifted in the suit anyway at meet, so I would just deadlift raw at the end of the meet.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, after that happened, it was a chronic issue for a while. That took a while, and so with the support on that glute and those hip rotators, I could still deadlift without having those chronic issues while I was trying to resolve it. And so I just kind of kept with that afterwards, because I always looked at a deadlift suit. I was like, they're just trying to get me to buy an extra squat suit. I'm just not doing that. I'm just going to pull it raw. After I actually finally got one, there is a little bit of a difference. It's a little more flexible, stuff like that. It's not as cumbersome as getting into some other stuff. And so I just kept using it.
What, it's funny to me because you got so many, like so this is, like I said, you did the stuff for us back in like, I think 2019. And it's crazy how the numbers have jumped up. Like we were just at HFA and we watched somebody pull 8 something the weekend after, like literally 7 days after he had just pulled 900 at the animal cage raw, right? And I think he's like in the 198, maybe the 220 class. Is it just crazy seeing how much the numbers have climbed up or really jumped up since more people started focusing on raw lifting?
Yeah, and I think it's almost like whatever people do raw, like if you look like or equipped, if you look like 10 to 20 years down the road, like people are doing it raw. I think it's like a 4-minute mile effect. Like once someone lifts it, then someone else comes along and they don't really care how it was done. They're going to do that as well. Like I can't think of the guy's name right now, but he, like in straps the other day, sumo, I think he's like 242 or 275, but it was raw. He pulled like 1,100.
Yeah.
And, before, only guys that were professional strongmen that were like 350 were doing that. And like, you know, there's only
Yeah.
like, you know, 2-3 guys, you know, that are, you know, pulling that raw. And now you got
Right.
guys that are sub 300 doing it.
So I've got some footage from that video that you did for us. And in the corner, it shows you like doing a squat, and this is you benching, just so that people can kind of get, you know, some footage of you from competition. And that's you deadlifting right there. It's crazy to me. And I'll link for anybody who wants to see that video. I'll put the link in the video description, because you're talking about how to recover after heavy squats and deadlift, which I should have watched, considering I just put myself through it. I did a whole body workout, then I drove to Nashville. 5 hours in the car was not cool after
No, not
heavy
after a full
squats.
body workout.
Oh my, I was miserable, man. And it's 5 hours up, did what I had to do, turned around and came right back down. So less than 24 hours later, or maybe 24 hours later, I was driving back. So yeah, my hips were on fire. Anyway, you when you did that, you were working in physical therapy field, like as you just said that you're no longer doing that. And you've put competing in powerlifting on the back burner since you started Iron Saints Athletic Systems. Why was it important for you to start a strength coaching business?
So I'm actually back working in physical therapy now.
Okay.
Started back again. That's kind of like a weird thing that I see God's hand on now. Like, you know, I kind of went through a period with my business where all of a sudden, like the bottom almost kind of fell out. Like we were still profitable, but it was to the point to where I was like, if I have a bad month, it might not be enough for me to pay myself what I need to pay myself for us to make sure that we have everything covered.
Right.
So I went back. I ended up getting sick. So I've been sick for the last year. Like I'm just getting better. Something happened to my lungs. They think it was kind of like the original COVID.
Okay.
But like, I mean, I legitimately probably almost died. Like I was afraid to go to sleep. I couldn't breathe. So, you know, it was a good thing, I guess, you know, that I was kind of back, and which, I mean, I was on my wife's insurance, but I have my own insurance, you know, and it's led now to where I work for a friend who bought a business. It's you know, a faith-based people that own the, you know, Christian people that own the business. Working with them after, you know, recovering from that has let me, like, you know, actually be able to work while I'm trying to take care of myself, still trying to take care of my business. Like, you know, if I'd have been working for someone else, you know, that would probably not have been the kind of easy process and understanding that I got from being able to be in that position. And, you know, through that, I learned a lot about, I had to learn a lot about, you know, how to show people market, you know, what I do.
Yeah.
Up until that point, I had just, you know, here's my results, and people's word of mouth had grown my business, and then suddenly that wasn't enough anymore. But to answer your question, other part of the question about, like, you know, why was it important? Honestly, it wasn't important to me. Like, it wasn't something I wanted to do. It wasn't something that I was looking to do. I had always trained athletes, but I never looked to make it a business. I never tried to be big with it or anything like that. When I first moved to Logan, the first kid I ever trained, he got a college scholarship for football.
Okay.
He won the state championship in shot put, even though he'd never done track, just because he became so explosive. And he came to me when I moved here and had been able to, like, kind of take, you know, our garage gym and actually make it here instead of at my in-laws. And he was like, please train this kid. He's a good kid. I'm moving. He's like, you know, I've tried to teach him the kind of things you taught me. He's like, but, you know, I want you to train him. And so that was very much while I was that's him right there in the middle at the top.
Right here?
That's Colton. Yep.
Okay.
And he's like family to us now. And I was very much, you know, in the middle of, like, you know, training myself. Like, I had totaled 2,000. I'm still, like, you know, trying to total elite in the 308. I hadn't squatted the 804 yet. And so, you know, I was very much like, well, he has to be dedicated. He has to, you know, not get in the way of what I'm doing as well.
Yeah.
And he really was super dedicated kid, and for whatever reason, even though I done, went through this process multiple times with, one or two kids, his results kind of just caught fire in the community.
Okay.
And this is like right before he started at like the end of 2019 or after football season.
Okay.
So his results are really popular with people right in the middle of COVID. And so in the middle of COVID, I'm having more and more people coming and training with me.
Okay.
And then, people are like, well, you need to do this as a business. People are always asking about like, where you're at, like what you're doing. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And so in the middle of COVID, like while everybody else is, shut down, like Iron Saints gym in the garage is spinning into a business without, me ever even necessarily trying to make it one. And we've just grown from there.
Okay. So this is your business there.
Yeah.
So you actually have, I think you're in your home gym right now.
Yes.
But you also have another facility out in town. Where you
Yes.
train. Okay. Because I remember when you gave me like the updated gym tour. I want to say it's still on the channel somewhere. Where you're like, yeah, man, we expanded, and I remember seeing it. I was like, yeah, there's a lot going on over here. Well, man, let's talk a little bit about programming because, and I'll keep on pulling up stuff because I see all like the athlete testimonials and things that you're doing here, and you guys can go check out Iron Saints _ Athletic Systems, and you'll be able to see the footage of Sammy's, some of Sammy's athletes who he trains. But let's talk about programming because I don't think the average lifter really understands the nuances of how programming changes based on like what your goal is. And actually I lied. I'll take that down. I'll pull it back up in a little bit because even I don't want to say even I like I'm anybody, but I'm saying like for me, it's like I think that the typical, for example, people are like, well, why, he's a power lifter. How come he can't do this or whatever, or maybe he's a power lifter. We'll get him to be the football strength coach. Okay, all right. So, and that doesn't always work because the typical powerlifting approach, as I understand it, typical now, is to program from meet to meet. So you say, okay, so first of all, a lot of times we decide which meet we want to do based upon where it is. All right. So there's no scientific anything, right? We're just like, oh, they got a meet in such and such, or based on who's running the meet.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, well, I like how those meets run. So you pick it and you're like, okay, well, how far away is it in terms of, it's about, let's say it's 6 weeks away. All right. Yeah, cool. All right. I can get ready for that. So then we start programming for the meet. What do? We go back and look at our last meet. Well, what did I do in my last meet? And what do I need to do to fix whatever deficiency I may have had so I can get a better total on the next meet, right? Well, so that's your programming is based off of, let's just correct whatever was a deficiency in the last meet, which makes sense because powerlifting is a sport. If it's football, you're like, well, how did we play in our last game? Well, we didn't get any interceptions and we couldn't run the ball. All right. So we're going to try to focus on getting interceptions and running the ball for our next game, right? That's great. However, that means that your entire program, including accessory movements, is based upon just how do I add more weight to the bar? Not necessarily correcting maybe the underlying reason behind why, the bar was slow off your chest or something like that, right? Is that pretty much how you did it when you were competing in powerlifting and how you did it for the lifters who you coach as powerlifters, or did you do it a different way?
So we do that. If there's something that we see in the meet, that was a struggle that just kind of manifests on meet day that we didn't see through training, then we're definitely going to switch up some accessory work to address that in the upcoming meets. We do make sure with our powerlifters so that like we are a little bit more choosy. Like if we do a meet, we're not doing another meet in 6 weeks, like because we're 14 weeks cycle.
But you know what I'm talking about. There's guys who are like, oh yeah, especially if you have a bad meet. oh, I got to get the bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah,
I'm gonna,
yeah.
Thank you. Okay.
I've done that, especially like if you're a younger power lifter, you can get away with that. If you're chasing on the verge of getting an elite total for your weight class, you don't need to do that. But like you can kind of just throw yourself into whatever meet early on.
Yeah.
But
I'm gonna use this meat as a bridge. I've heard it all. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do feel like you don't want to develop a weakness through your training. So there's certain things that we always keep in.
Okay.
And then there's certain things like if we see you need this, then we're going to switch some things. And I think one important thing is like, you have to have that structure, like your bones of your program, and make small changes. Right. You don't want to like have a bad meet and I'm going to do this, and this different, and like throw half the stuff out and put new stuff in, because then you don't know if something got better because of what you took out, because of what you put in, or what those things were. So like you need to make small changes and know what works for you, know what's built you, know what keeps you, and then what's something that I can add within my training, within my philosophy that's not going to overwork me, that I can monitor and see, is this giving me what I need to overcome what I saw.
I think there's something that goes along with that is the importance of consistency, right? So people laugh because powerlifters are like neurotic. I got to lift at the exact same time every day, right? Every day, every training day has to be there at the exact same time. I know lifters who will only squat. Let's say they only squat at about 9 a.m. because the meets typically start at 9. It's like, okay. And you're like, okay, well, what time zone is the meet in? Okay, so I'll be lifting at this time. That's when I'm going to start doing my squats now while I'm training, right? And obviously, if you got a job, you can only do so much of that. But you try to stay consistent as much as possible. But I think of more value is the fact that we're consistent in terms of how we set up on the bench. You set up on the bench the exact same way every time. I try to have my same exact hand spacing. No matter what bar I'm using, my hands got to be the same distance apart every time. I switched to using monolift attachments for my handoff, even though my wife could hand off to me, because sometimes she's not here. She might have to travel for work now. So now my handoff just changed because I'm either handing off to myself or I'm getting some random person or whatever. Maybe I'm out of town and I got to get a random person to hand off to me. I hate going out of town and getting a random person to hand off to me because they're not going with me to the meet. Yeah, it's like a box of chocolates. I don't know what's going to happen. And then just like that, I hate going to a meet and getting some random person there to hand off to me, because again, it goes back to consistency. Because then if my bench fails on this day, I know it's something to do with it's not technique, it's not improper setup. Then I can say, okay, now I can create an assistance exercise to fix the problem, because I know it's not that I wasn't paying attention, or I didn't have enough leg drive, or my feet were in a different position than they were the last time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so people laugh at you because you like got to do everything the exact same way, but it's like, look, it really is greasing the groove. And I think that a lot of people who like will DM me, I have multiple people like DM me like videos, hey, what do you think of this or whatever, right? And I don't mind answering the stuff. I'm not a coach. I don't mind answering what I think, but one of the biggest things I always say is this the same way you do it every time? When people are if people send you videos asking you questions, do you have them send you like multiple videos if possible? Like, I want to see like 3 or 4 training sessions before I can tell you, before I can give you advice, or how do you approach that?
If there's something like this really glaringly bad, then I'll just immediately be like, well, this is what your issue was here.
Right.
If there's not something that's like glaringly bad that jumps out, their form is pretty good, then I might ask for, a few more to kind of see, or like a heavier weight. If the weight's not very heavy, like, well, I need to see something that's like closer to you, failing, because
right.
Your problems aren't going to jump out at 60-70%.
Yeah.
And with what you said about the consistency, even though I've kind of stepped away from competing, having a crazy busy life, I don't always get my days are Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That's what
Yeah.
my brain and body has been
Yeah.
for decades. Now I just kind of have to get it whenever I can.
Right.
It drives me insane a little bit.
You're like, no,
I'm not going to get to do it today, and I really want to do it today.
oh my good. And then even something as simple as, okay, so let's say traveling, right? So I typically bench first in the week because I deadlift last. So I want to give myself enough time to rest before I squat, right? If something changes, let's say I'm somewhere where I think the bench is a little bit sketchy, I'm like, all right, well, they got a bar, they got a rack. I'll just squat instead. That feels so strange if I'm squatting on bench day. It's just like, I can do it now. I've made myself learn how to do it, but that's like the weirdest thing. Like, okay, now my body's like, no, we're not supposed to be doing this today. This is not what we do, and it really can affect performance. Now let's shift. Okay, so now you got somebody who thinks like that, and then you're like, okay, yeah, but strength coaching for an athlete, especially a field athlete, somebody who plays a sport, whether it's a field or a court or something, right, is more about setting up your off-season training program to help you recover from the season, because you're coming out of the season beat up, right? And whatever little nagging injuries you have, you got to clear those up. And so it's going to help you recover from the season. So then you get to the point where you're not sore all the time. Now we're going to start building you up for the next season. So now we're building muscle and whatever, so that it's off season for football right now. So you got people are trying to build muscle. They're trying to get a little bit faster. They're doing more of that cone drills and stuff that's not as sports specific, because now they're doing their GPP, and it builds you up. And then in season, unlike powerlifting where you're going meet to meet, in season, you're not focusing necessarily on getting stronger and bigger. You're just trying to help you survive till the season's over, because your improvements are going to happen on the field. You get better at your skill, or, you finally learned to catch. Good job. Okay. That kind of thing. Right. I've heard it now. So what are the most valuable lessons for somebody who's an average lifter, who doesn't compete, who sees advice from strength coaches who are used to dealing with athletes who, play a sport where most of the sport happens on a field and outside the weight room. And they're also seeing advice from power lifters who are doing programming meet to meet. And same thing to a certain extent to strongman competitors, right? But regular people are just getting all of this advice. And then you throw in the bodybuilders, right? It's like, okay, it can just be too much information. How can a regular person say, all right, I just want to be stronger, be able to lift a little bit, maybe play some pickup softball or basketball on the weekends? What are some of the universal lessons that you would say that you could pick up as an average lifter?
So if you do actually go listen to a lot of my athletes' testimonials, like the video testimonials, one thing you'll hear time and time again with the kids that I've done those with, that's been there with me, they'll say the biggest lesson that they've learned is consistency. Because over their time with me, they all go through a point of I kind of have to preach at them, hey, I know you've gotten this much better, but you're wanting to get a scholarship. You're wanting to do this.
Yeah,
you have to be consistent. You've gotten that much better. And it's kind of like powerlifting or strongman, like you said, they get to a point to where improving from a 5'2" to a 4'7" is great. But going from a 4'7" to a 4'4" or 4'5", that's a whole different world. Yeah. Even though it's not as much improvement, you're trying to enter elite space, and you're not going to do that if you're inconsistent.
Right.
You have to be consistent. But if you look at,
by the way, he's talking about a 40-yard dash.
Yes, sorry about that.
Yeah.
If you're looking at athletes compared to the average population, for the most part, most people are closer to athletes lifting than they are strongmen or powerlifters.
Mm-hmm.
You have some really strong athletes, but within the realm of expertise, they're still novice, amateur for the most part, most of them, with what they can lift. If you're looking at some NFL guys, you have some guys that hit some crazy numbers, but advice-wise, you're probably going to want to perform more like an athlete and your lifting skill level is going to be probably closer to an athlete, where that's not the main thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
So I would say you want to follow more of that advice, because with an athlete, you want to stimulate, not annihilate.
Okay.
With a power lifter or a strongman, you're trying to push the absolute extremes, and your performance is how much weight that you can move.
Right.
With an athlete, you're trying to improve, like lift more weight to improve how you move. And part of that is that you have to be able to recover. You can't train an athlete like a bodybuilder or a powerlifter where their legs are destroyed and they can't come back in a couple days or maybe the very next day and be able to sprint and jump and perform. So, consistency, and, don't push yourself like as an average person to the point to where, that you're not, if you're not competing, there's no point to push yourself to the point to where you're so sore that you got to miss work the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like people are like always like, man, leg day was so horrible. I'm like, and okay, I just told the story about how I was I didn't do that junk on purpose. Okay. I know people who drive themselves to the point where they're like vomiting because it's like a badge of honor and they're grinding. I was like, dude, you still got to go to Home Depot and move boxes in the warehouse, in about 3 hours. Like,
you get
relaxed a little bit.
You get better from recovering, and one of the things that I've, learned, which I knew, but, I've seen with kind of stepping away is like, I've been rebuilding my strength because, as I said, I was sick, but even with not being able to train nowhere near like I had before, just with consistency, even though it's more reserved, even though I'm not pushing myself as hard, there's lots of times now I'm lifting by myself. So I'm leaving like, 1 or 2 jumps on squat because I'm squatting by myself.
Right.
I did that easy. I can probably go up 30, 40 more pounds. But if something happens and I stumble walking it out or getting it back in the rack or something, well, I'm in trouble because I'm by myself. So I'm just going to not do that rep. And I'm just going to go into my accessories and get done. Well, my recovery is so much better that by the time that I come back around and squat that again, like my squat has jumped up a bunch.
Right.
You can push yourself hard, but still leave a little bit. As long as you're consistent, it's going to help your recovery. And you're not going to be so beat up, and, you're going to have a lot more fun in training that way. Yeah. If you're just lifting for your own satisfaction.
I think another thing too that we end up having is like, because a lot of times like and I have this with like my own mobility coach, like where they're coaching people who are in that world where they're trying to like, okay, I'm lifting so that I can go skiing or so I can, play pickleball or whatever, right? The point isn't the fact that I'm lifting, right? Whereas I still have numbers I want to hit in powerlifting. So that's my main. If I'm in the gym, it's because I still in my mind have like a goal I want to hit on the platform. So I say that because there's a feeling that physical therapists want you, like they're intentionally or unintentionally, they're trying to make you weaker. Because it feels like they got you doing a bunch of stuff that doesn't relate to you getting stronger. And so hey, I'll tell you, I sent you this story, but I'll tell the story really quickly for people who are watching. So I had a friend who he's actually going on to be with the Lord now. So celebrate him because he's living good right now. None of the problems I'm about to describe are part of his reality anymore. But so he had his leg amputated, and he didn't immediately he didn't get they didn't fit him for a prosthetic. So they cut off his leg. He goes from 2 legs and walking to 1 leg wheelchair. And then he was in that wheelchair for about a year, just getting steadily more and more detrained, more and more sedentary. And he's like, well, he said, hey, look, they said they're not going to give me a prosthetic leg until I'm able to use a walker and go 100 feet. But all this time, they've had him just in the wheelchair. He's like, well, I don't know I've never been in this situation. I don't know how to get from the wheelchair to the walker. And he's like, he felt like they weren't trying to help him. So he comes to me and he said, look, I need your help. He knew I worked out. And he just kind of was like, hey, I'm just desperation. Can you help me? So I was like, well, I mean, I hadn't done this kind of thing in years. But I said, all right, so first thing that makes sense to me is you can't even stand up. So I ordered some Hatfield handles from Rogue, and we started out with Hatfield squats using the wheelchair as so basically box squats, but Hatfield box squats, using the wheelchair as the box, because that's where he already was and he couldn't even get out, right? And then so we progressed or whatever, and I mean, we're doing like 3 sets of 1 or whatever. I don't want to like give like the exact thing because I don't want somebody at home copying it. Right. This is not training advice. I'm just saying that we had him do like box squats out of the wheelchair. Then we got him from the wheelchairs, and then he started doing his Hatfield squats off of a low box. And this is all one-legged because they wouldn't give him a prosthesis till he was able to whatever. So then next step, now I got him to where he could stand up. Like, all right, now you're gonna do timed holds, holding onto the walker. That's all you're doing. You're just standing there trying to hold the walker. And then as his assistants work, we were doing modified tricep dips, where we had like a very heavy band from so that he could use the band as band assistance, because he wasn't strong enough to hold himself up with his triceps in the walker. Again, he's only got one leg. So to fast forward the story, he eventually gets to the point where he's able to beat that 100 feet. He gets the prosthesis and everything else. But it's like, because I didn't immediately say to him, okay, well, you can't do it. Instead, I programmed it like, well, how would I do it if this was, me or whatever? And I mean, heck, he started out, we're doing like finishers. I'm like, all right, your finisher is to take the walker and go, you're doing repeats, 50-foot repeats with the walker, right? Which looks crazy when you got somebody out, he's only got one leg and he's like going up and down my driveway. People are like, what's going on here, right? But he got to where he needed. So react to that, because he said that the problem he was facing is that the physical therapy people, the rehab people, didn't approach. He said, man, I've never done any of the stuff you're doing with me. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm sure they've got something at their facility that they could, maybe it's like some other thing. He's like, no, they didn't even try. They were so concerned with me being hurt that they never even tried to get me out of the wheelchair. Instead, they were trying to show me how to cope with living in the wheelchair. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I want you to react to that a little bit with both your hats, because that's how we perceive physical therapists and just the physical therapy profession. So what's your reaction to that?
So unfortunately, I'm not surprised by that at all. Like
That's
with
horrible.
the insurance aspect of it, that's typical, because what has happened over the years is a lot of times they would immediately give someone a prosthesis and they could never use it because they just wouldn't do the work necessary
Right.
to be able to use it. So not in necessarily the scenario your friend was in,
Right.
it created the scenario your friend was in, because they give people these expensive prosthesis and then the person won't even get out of bed, or the person won't wear it appropriately and they get a wound. And
that's what happened to him. Yeah.
There's
first
a
got
whole
it.
other problem, which again leads to them needing a whole other prosthesis sometimes.
Yeah.
So that's, the kind of the reason for that aspect. And then unfortunately, that doesn't surprise me on the therapy side of things either. For sometimes you get people who, maybe that's just their personality or whatever, and they are afraid of like the person getting hurt, because, someone gets hurt in your facility. We live in a litigious society. Like, someone's going to sue you. And so some people are going so far on the side of caution that, if they can't easily get the person up, maybe then, they're just going to be trying to do exercises, seated, or teaching them to transfer on a sliding board or something.
Yeah.
So that they're in the chair and hope that person gets strong enough from doing that stuff. And I think that's from a lack of real world experience.
Okay.
Whenever I was in therapy school, they told me, like, you don't understand what true weakness is. Like, you need to go somewhere and see what being truly weak is. And they were right.
Right.
Like, I cannot conceptualize how weak some of these people in like a nursing home setting,
Right.
something like that was.
Right.
But with that, it taught me you did a good job. Like, the way you reverse engineered that is very similar to how I would treat people in the nursing home. You can't get up. We're going to do leg exercises and stuff in the chair, but I'm programming it like a session that I would, for anybody else. What's our big exercise for the day?
What's the goal?
And
then work backwards. Yeah.
we're going to do set the stands. If you can't walk or hop at all, we're going to stand up. We're going to stand there as long as you can. And then you're going to set back down. We're going to do that multiple times. What are we going to do next? We're going to do chair push-ups, which is essentially like a dip, where I'm helping you push to here,
Right.
come back down, push to here, come back down, because that's our two big main exercises if we're looking at it, how you would correlate it to a perspective of powerlifting. And then we're going to do your accessories. Then we're going to do like some, resisted stomps. We're going to do some like, knee extensions with, ankle weights and band hamstring curls, and, you work your calf and all this, all this other stuff once we're in the chair, and, eventually progress to being able to, we're not only standing, but we're walking. We're not only just standing, but we're doing calf raises standing. So unfortunately, like I said, that doesn't surprise me at all. Some people are just afraid, and some people just don't know. They just don't know what to do. But then, on the other side of things, I know some people, that's their experience with therapy, and it leaves a bad taste in their mouth. On the other side of things, you have clinics like the one I'm in now, who we're getting ready to open a new clinic. And, my boss is one of my best friends, and he's like, make a list of all the equipment that you want. And he has a very, views very similar as mine. And so, you have therapy places that are going to become almost more like looking like sports performance centers.
Right.
Like you're going to have, your normal beds and stuff like that you lay people down in, and you do your manual stuff like joint mobilization, stretching. But then across the room, there's also a power rack. There's also an isokinetic machine. Like there's also, machines and bands where you can do more typical exercises like you see, as well as like your balance type, foam pads and balls and stuff that that you would typically see. There's not just 5 and 10 pound dumbbells. There's going to be dumbbells that are heavy. There's going to be bars. It's becoming, on the other end of things, more of a blend of what you would see walking into a performance center. And, a lot of people really need that. I made a post the other day that, after doing therapy all these years, so many people would be so much better off if they learned how to properly do a hinge, how to properly squat, and just do some basic like ab and leg exercises. Like you don't need to be a powerlifter. You can go to the gym and do some planks, do some leg raises laying down, maybe do an ab machine at the gym, just do some knee extensions and hamstring curls, like something to just build some strength in your hips and legs, and just learn how to brace yourself in your trunk and learn how to hinge and squat. And that would take care of so many problems, because 99% of the time, it doesn't matter if I'm treating somebody that's in their 30s or in their 80s, they can't do those things. They don't know how to properly hinge. They don't know how to properly squat. Well, if you don't know how to do those things, you have back pain. You have knee pain. Now you have a hip surgery and you have no idea how to, you've never even learned how to use your glutes or hamstrings. So it's going to create a problem.
So, and this is my conspiracy theory brain, okay? Do you think it's because, so let's say the person who's injured is a pro athlete, and they get, the team is paying them $5 million that year, right? And they're like, well, look, we need to get you back on the field because, we're not paying you to be injured, to be on the PUP list, physically unable reform list. So there's a little bit more incentive to move the person from the stuff that you would think of, because you think about how crazy it is. Everybody always thinks, oh, well, it's drugs or whatever, right? But NFL players get tested quite a bit, right? I think that one huge difference is that this person gets injured with like the most horrifying, like their legs broken, their foot's turning, pointed back behind them or something, right? Mm-hmm. They go have surgery. And next thing you know, they're like back doing drills. And you're like, well, how'd they do it so fast? Well, there's a financial incentive for the medical staff to get this person back to their normal life. Whereas the other way, the perception we have, and this is what I want you to react to, perception we have is there is financial incentive because of an infrastructure in that patient continuing to need you. Because if they get to the point where they can walk and they're functioning, they stop coming to your clinic. You can't bill their insurance anymore.
Yeah.
All right. And that's the physical, that's the conspiracy part of things. So I understand what you do for a living, but I'm saying, like, is there an element of that?
So two things, like one, I think also within the, like with more of an athlete, there's also a mindset difference in them. So they
Yes.
want to get back. They
Yes.
want to make sure they keep their contract and get another one.
That's true.
They want to make sure they don't lose their spot. There's incentive for them too. And then also, like I said, they're trained. They're in shape. A lot of times, like a normal person gets hurt, well, they can't recover as fast because they didn't have no base at all.
Yeah,
Like, so my people that lift weights and are in shape, when they have a rotator cuff surgery, the difference in their recovery versus someone who has just sat around and never worked their arms for the last 10 or 20 years, huge difference. Huge difference in their pain, huge difference in their movement. Now, with that being said, I unfortunately have worked with people who I felt did what you're saying. They were not incentivized to get that person better, or to get them better quickly, because they were fine with them coming forever because, well, they're getting paid for it.
Yeah.
My perspective is, and the perspective of the place that I work now is, we don't want to keep people forever. We want to get people better, and we want to get people out the door. Because with the way that you're thinking right there, do you want to go to a clinic where someone's like, oh, I've been going to therapy there, I really like it. But you're like, well, how long have you been there? Well, I've been going 20 weeks. Or are you better?
Yeah.
Well, a little bit. Or do you want to be like, see somebody and like, hey, didn't you get hurt? Oh, yeah, I went to therapy and I'm doing good now. Well, didn't you just get hurt 6 weeks ago?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, which clinic do you want to go to? The clinic that got you better and you're performing and you can't tell that they had an injury and they're out of there in 6 to 8 weeks or however long the timeline for that injury is? Or do you want to go somewhere and you're there for a year and people like you're still needing therapy and you still have an issue and you can't tell that you've been worked with? So I think it's a combination of the two, because there's very much, even though that's what I want, there's very much still people that you deal with in therapy that they're not really interested in doing what you're telling them to do. They're not really motivated to get better. Some people come to therapy because they want to be qualified to have disability.
That's true too. Yeah, that's true.
There's a very different perspective. So you have to look at the motivation of the clinic and the people, and you kind of see, like, don't just look at the worst case scenario. Look at their best case scenario. Like, kind of look at the person and what they repeatedly show you of who they are, like as their business and the motivation of the people that go there. But there's definitely both sides of the spectrum. In my the more motivated you are to get better, the more closely you adhere to what you've been doing. If it's quality things, the better your outcome is going to be. And then there's sometimes that, no matter what you do, you're not going to get some people better. And, sometimes I've had people that, whenever you kind of push them to try to, hey, you're not doing this and this is where you should be, and we really need to do this. Well, it hurts. Well, yeah, you're going to hurt if you don't do it too.
Yeah.
And get mad and leave. They never come back.
That's a good point. I mean, I guess I was looking at it like, the term maximum medical improvement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It's like it's like, yeah, but you're not actually better. Yeah, but we reached MMI and their 20 visits or 30 visits is up. And so insurance, we can't bill it anymore. So, all right. And because I used to work for an insurance company, and I remember they'd be like, okay, first of all, I will say on the insurance company side, there are a ton of things where they're like, well, I don't know why are we paying for that, because their goal in insurance isn't to make you better.
Their goal is to pay the least amount of money they can.
Yeah. And they're like, well, because they say, especially if it's an at-fault situation, they're like, I'm not trying to improve you. I want to get you back to where you were before the event happened, the accident happened. So anything that looks like you might come out better on the other side, I'm not interested in doing. And then if there's a lawyer involved, he wants to make sure that you suffer as much as possible so that he can then file a lawsuit and say, look, this person went to therapy, they did everything. Doctor, in your medical opinion, is this person's life ruined? Yes. Okay, good. That means more money for me, you know. It's like, and so I think the physical therapists get kind of caught up in that mishmash of stuff. But I do think also the physical therapists have done, so I think that's why the perception is there. But I think the physical therapists have done a great deal to help from the standpoint of helping people understand how to, like the importance of mobility, the importance of a proper warm up. And I think that because of physical therapy, we do a lot better job of managing the little aches and pains, like, you know, recovering. I mean, like 20 years ago, we wouldn't have, like, I was talking, my wife and we just got the Hyperrise hips thing. And I think it's amazing. Right. And 20 years ago, it wouldn't even occur to me to buy that. Of course, I was younger back then too, but still, it's like this kind of stuff wasn't readily available. And it is available now because I think that the physical therapy profession is doing more stuff to educate people. So with that being said, what are things that have you learned from being a power lifter that have improved you as a strength coach? And then how's being a strength coach and competing in powerlifting helps you as a physical therapist assistant?
So I think like once you've done all those, like you kind of start seeing like kind of like we talked about almost with your friend, like you kind of start seeing like the crossover, like because human movement is human movement. Like whether you're standing up out of a chair or like you're trying to squat more or you're trying to sprint more, well, it's all the same muscles, right? Like you have to have strong hip extensors. You have to have strong knee extensors. Like you have to have a strong ankle. Like poor mechanics in your walking wears you out. Poor mechanics in your sprinting slows you down. You know, so you just start seeing like the crossover in all of it. And it's kind of funny, like you talked about that with your friend. I remember listening to a thing with Dave Tate years ago. He's talking about like his dad hadn't had physical therapy and like them cueing him while he's squatting to stand up. And he's like, oh my God, it's just, you know, it's the same cues. Like, yeah, chest up.
Yeah.
And you know, you start seeing the same things, but when you've done things at extreme levels, like it makes the other levels simple. So at one point before I, you know, did take a step away from therapy and only work for myself, I'm in the nursing home and I'm so bored with what I'm doing, which I work at outpatient now, and it's much more higher skill level that you get to use with some of your patients. But I'm like, I'm literally living two different extremes. Like here, I'm literally teaching people to stand up and we're walking and we're going so slow that I could fall asleep while I'm walking.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go to the facility and I'm having kids jump over a 30-inch vertical and run over 20 miles an hour. Like the world is so different. But, you know, again, you know,
it's the same thing.
Crossovers, like you need to stand up. Guess what? We're going to stand up. We're going to do mini squats. You know, we're going to work your legs. And then, you know, we're going to the facility and it's like, oh, you need to be able to run faster and jump higher. Well, we're going to have to get your, you know, hips and legs stronger. Like you're going to have to get exposed to sprinting more often. Just like, you know, you want to walk further. Well, guess what? We need to take one extra walk. Guess what? You need to push yourself to go 5 or 10 more feet, you know, when you're tired.
I think one of the coolest things is that I did with, I'll tell you another story about my friend. So he got to the point, like I said, where he had the prosthesis. And so he's still using the walker. We were working on getting him away from the walker and just walking, right? And so there's a video, I still have it, and I watch it occasionally, where we're doing sled drags. So he's still got the walker, but he's dragging a sled. I got the harness on him and he's dragging the sled with, I think it might have been like 10 pounds, a 10-pound bumper plate in it, but I don't care. He's dragging the sled. And I would show it to him periodically, like, all right, remember when you couldn't even stand up? Now you're dragging a sled. And the idea was like, hey, we're going to get you to the point where you donate this walker to somebody who needs it because you won't, right? And I think that what helped him is I was showing him power lifters. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. Peg leg puddle pirate. So there's and then I also showed him that guy Casey Mitchell, that one
Mhm.
leg monster.
Yes.
So I showed him those people, those power lifters. Those are all power lifters who have they're amputees and they're power lifters, right? I showed him those videos. Like, hey, imagine yourself. Maybe you're not going to be doing this, but if they can do this, they got the same number of legs you got. All right. So if they can do this, then maybe you can do this. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that I would say is a benefit that you could take from the sports performance, even if it's powerlifting as a sport, sports performance world, to the physical therapy side. Going the other direction, what are some things that you've learned from the physical therapy side that have improved you as a lifter? And let's go ahead and, we only got a few minutes left, but what are like some tips that you can give people that they can kind of like take home with them and say, okay, these are like actionable things I can do?
I think more it's just like, make sure that you take care of like the small things, like,
Okay.
with lifting heavy, like we always want to, powerlifters like, well, we're going to squat big and we're going to bench big. Or are you going to do abs? Nah, well, I ain't worried about that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I get enough abs from like.
Stop yelling at me, Sammy.
Like, well, do you really? Like, or, I'm going to dumbbell military press like 120s. Well, can you do a YTWL like and work your rotator cuff with twos, or are you, make it through a couple sets, or are you crying because like that, that's so weak,
Right.
like you got to take care of like the things that are going to keep you healthy, like long term. Like, if you have created like a severe forward rotated posture and you're like this because you don't ever work your back or your rear delts or, or anything like that, well, eventually you're going to have shoulder problems and you're going to have maybe pec problems. If you can't reach back and get the bar because your shoulder rotation and your thoracic mobility is so horrible, well, guess what? Then you're going to have bench problems because after you squat, your elbows gotten trashed because you can't reach behind you. Take care of the little things that are going to keep you healthy, because especially in strength, it's who can do it that not only the heaviest, but the longest and the most frequently. And if you're not taking care of those little things, like making sure that you have mobility, making sure that you're working those smaller muscles, making sure that you're taking care of your accessories and like, those kind of things, like eventually you're going to have a problem. Eventually you're going to have an injury. Like, do the things that like other people don't want to do. Go do those sets of 20 on hypers and build up your glutes and make sure that your back's taken care of. Make sure that you work your abs as hard and with resistance as what you do another accessory, and just quit neglecting them. Make sure you're doing those things. It's going to help your body hold up, and make sure that when you know that you are done and you have to walk away, that you can actually still walk away.
Yeah, nice. I love that. So talk a little bit about your coaching business, because I know that you coach in person, but do you also do online coaching as well?
That's been like the popular question of the week. I've been asked by
anybody, whether it's a power lifter or an athlete. Do you do any of it? Like for anyone?
Yeah. So like that's like I said, I've been asked this 3 or 4 times already this week, and I do some online. I have been doing some online coaching for people.
Okay.
I've been mainly just doing it for my athletes.
Okay.
Rather than like power lifters, because it is involved. If I'm going to coach you online, like I want to make sure that you're actually doing what I tell you to do. I actually want to make sure that you are communicating with me, and because there's a lot that goes into that to make sure you're successful whenever I'm not seeing you in person, whenever you're not there to have access to the things that I like to program. Like maybe you do, maybe you have some of it, but especially with my athletes, like we make sure that we're getting faster when because we have timing gates, and I know for sure that that you're being consistently timed the same way and it's accurate, or we're measuring your vertical or your ground contact time and different stuff. A lot of athletes don't have access to that. So or other stuff. So when you don't have access to all that, like I need communication, so I know what you do have access to.
I'm chasing chickens, Sammy. I'm chasing chickens.
Yeah, I need to know like that you actually did the numbers that I put on there. I need to see,
Right.
like at least a couple videos of like the exercises to make sure that you're doing them right. Make sure that that the jump I'm going to program the following week is that you're going to be able to handle.
Yeah.
So I don't mind to do that if the person is like serious and they're going to be like consistent, like we talked about, not only with what I'm telling them to do, but with communicating with me and making sure that things are done right. Because like I'm a terrible businessman. I don't just want your money and you not ever show up or not do what I tell you. Like if you train with me, like I want people to know it. I want you to have success.
Yeah.
Like, so I want to make sure that you're doing things the way that I want and how I'm telling you to do it.
Gotcha. All right. So with that, how can people connect with you if they're interested in learning more about your coaching? If they are going to be somewhere near you and they want to hire you to coach their child, or anything else that you want to promote, you can go ahead and let us know. How can people keep up with what you got going on?
So
what if they want to go to church and hear you preach? Give me all the info.
Yeah, so you've already put our Instagram up on there, Iron Saints _Athletic Systems. You can reach out on Instagram. We're on Facebook at Iron Saints Athletic Systems as well. You can contact either one of those and reach us.
Okay.
You pulled our website up at one point. Like it also has an email option where you can email and it will send it to an email to me and notify me. Should notify me. Sometimes for whatever reason, it sends it to my spam. So if you email me and you don't hear from me, that's why. I've not realized that it's there because it went somewhere it's not supposed to. And then I go to church now. It's called Mona Hill Free Will Baptist. And even if you're not in West Virginia, they do stream the services and put them on their Facebook so that you can go back and watch them. And I typically preach every third Sunday. So I just preached not this last Sunday, the Sunday before last. I think it's still on there. I think Facebook has done something to where it doesn't permanently stay on there anymore. So
yeah. They changed. They made a change. That's one reason why I like. So this is just a little side note. If you are a church of any kind and you are if you are someone who makes any kind of content that you want to keep up, Facebook is not the place to put it. And I know Facebook is the easiest place because a lot of people, it's easier to build a community on there, even if you don't get along with the people necessarily because they won't always want to argue. They're still there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the stuff is going to disappear. Same thing with Instagram. That's one reason why I don't stream this show on Instagram, because Instagram is difficult to find the people you're trying to find and for them to find you instead of just a random thing. And then 20 minutes after you're done streaming, it's disappeared and you never know where it is, right? Whereas with YouTube, it's like you can create a library. So like the video I was talking about that you did in 2019, it's still on my YouTube channel. If somebody just comes on YouTube, on Garage Life Media YouTube, and you just put in the search thing, Sammy Sebok, or heck, if you just put Sammy, it'll pull up your video as one of the results. And so it's a lot more searchable. And so we live stream for our church as well. And we do it on YouTube specifically because people can go back and you can see sermons from the pandemic if you wanted to. So that's just, you didn't ask, but I'm telling you.
No, that's good to know. I don't know why they changed that, but that is aggravating.
Oh yeah, very. Well, man, I appreciate you, man. Thanks for spending some time with us. Tell Brittany we appreciate her letting you borrow us for a little bit. And you best of luck with on that. No, there's no such thing as luck. What's that shirt say? Luck is for heathens. Blessings for your business and all the stuff that you're doing, man, because you're pouring a lot into people. And I love that you're allowing your skills to not just kind of be with you. Instead, you're letting yourself be a conduit to bless other people. And I mean, you've changed at least 2,200 lives. So, and counting. So, man, keep doing what you're doing, man.
Yeah, one thing I'll say this before I go. One thing that I've learned through doing this, especially is like, you know,
Yeah.
kind of with my faith, is like it's become very. You learn very quickly that like it's almost not even about like the training. Like, you know, I've had people come to hear me preach. I've had athletes tell me that they've gotten saved because of the influence of being in the gym. You know, I married one of our athletes I think it was last year or a year
Okay.
before last. Like, you know, it's very much changed my life in the perspective of just helping people be better people.
Nice.
You know, like
That's
so
a win right there.
if you go into this, like just realize like you might go into it to help get people stronger or faster or jump higher, but like you're going to quickly learn like people don't care what you know until they know that you care. And so like
100%.
you're going to have to realize like you're going to have to deal with people on a personal level, and it's going to become a lot of about, you know, them becoming part of your tribe and community than just like becoming someone that you're trying to improve physically.
100%. I mean, I think that's a good place to end it right there, man. Sammy, I got all your links in the video description so everybody can reach out to you. You definitely got to come back again, man. I appreciate everything that you do. All right.
All right.
All right, man. Take it easy.
You too.
All right. So that was Sammy Sebok. You guys make sure that you are checking him out. If you're interested in just seeing some cool, extremely athletic kids, you can check out his Instagram, Iron Saints _ athletic systems on Instagram. You can also follow his own training at Iron Saint _ Sebok on Instagram. And then if you are interested more specifically in the kinds of training he does for athletes, and I will also say too, I forgot to ask him this, but I know his heart. If you are a coach yourself and you're trying to set up a business similar to what he does in your area, Sammy is going to be willing to give you feedback, kind of put you in touch with like where you need to go in order to, you know, acquire equipment, all that kind of stuff. So if you need help trying to set up your athletic training business, especially if you're helping young athletes, you can reach out to him through the email at it's going to be ironsaintsathlete.com. Make sure you take advantage of that. Okay, it's time for the final segment. I really am working on trying to come up with a way to do the transition into the final segment, but that is it for those of you who are watching on LinkedIn. Appreciate you watching. Keep an eye out because we do have a video interview with Jason Campbell, who is the president of Surplus Strength. That's coming up on Thursday. We've got a bunch of other interviews that we did at the HFA show. Got some more one-on-one interviews with business leaders in the coming weeks. Got everything all scheduled, and these are always in-person interviews. So I do the live show. Obviously, I do it online, you know, streaming. But when we do our in-person interview, we do our interviews with business leaders, specifically for LinkedIn. We always do them in person because I think that there's something special that you get from having that the nonverbal cues, and just there's just something that's special about being in the same location with someone. So keep an eye out for more stuff like that coming from us on LinkedIn. And in the meantime, we appreciate you guys following Garage Life Media on LinkedIn. If you are watching on YouTube, don't go anywhere because we're about to go into the final segment of the show. So, okay. All right, so you're on YouTube. Hope you're still there. It's time for the last segment of the show, and that is what I learned this week. So I turn this off because I don't have any notes over there because I'm just going to talk to you. So what I learned this week, what was reinforced to me is two things. One was the importance of the value of integrity, and the importance of not being arrogant about it. Okay. Here's what I mean. We've already, and this is something when I say that the value of integrity, it's something to overlook because, especially in the home gym community, we tend to think, okay, it's just all that, it's just me. It's about me, right? And I don't mean that in a selfish way. I mean, like, you can't imagine, because it's just you in your house or whatever. You're like, what I do doesn't really affect anybody else. Once you start creating content, even if you have an audience of 5 people, you have to understand that what you do and what you say affects those 5 people. And it's very easy to believe that what you do in your private life doesn't affect them. But I want you to know that as you grow, people are going to look for reasons to, we live in a skeptical society. People are going to look for reasons to, like, find fault with you, right? That's just human nature. They're like, it can't be too good to be true. I was watching an episode of The Flash with my daughter, and this guy was like, the Flash can't be a hero. He's got to have some dark secret, right? Well, that's just how human nature is. They're looking for what your secret is. And there is some justification. Just earlier this year, we had a thing where we found out something about somebody who was a content creator that we all trusted. And we had no idea that this person was doing something that we would not support. Most of us would not support. And so I'm saying that there's a value in integrity. And I'm not saying that to you guys. I'm saying it to me. I have to maintain integrity with you. And part of that is being transparent. Okay. But there's also, you don't need to be arrogant about it, because anybody can fall. I'll be honest with you guys. So I'm online quite a bit. The area that has not been a struggle, but is something that is a struggle and currently, and is something that I'm like, all right, I need to just make sure I pay attention to this, is making sure that being online doesn't take me to places where I shouldn't go, right? I'm being careful how I say this, because I know that we have kids who watch. But it would be, I'll just give you an example. Every time I have to search for X Master Fitness, which is a legitimate fitness business, I also get a result for a different website whose name I'm not going to tell you, that is definitely not in the fitness business and has paid, ironically, it looks like much more for marketing than X Master Fitness. So I'm looking for X Master Fitness. This other company pops up along with X Master Fitness. In fact, if I just put in X Master, this other company pops up first. So I always have to say X Master Fitness. So I know that. The temptation is, it would be very easy for me to go look at that other company and say, oh, well, what's going on over there? Okay. And if you make a habit of doing that kind of thing, it's very easy to create like a double life for yourself, so that you're one way to people, and then over here it's like, oh, well, but you're actually doing this other stuff. So the part where the arrogance, not being arrogant about it, comes in is, I can't assume that I'm just strong enough to resist. Okay. Because nobody is strong enough to always resist. It's kind of like being, if I were a drug addict, if I were fighting drug addiction, right? And I was just trying to do it on willpower, everybody would say, no, like, hey man, you don't want to go down to that street where they sell illegal drugs, or you probably don't need to go hang out here where you can get it easily, or whatever. I don't really know too much about how to find that stuff, but I'm just saying, don't be the places where it's easy to get it. You know what I'm saying? If your struggle is overeating, you probably don't need to follow food profiles on Instagram. And so it's the same thing. Don't be arrogant about it and assume that you're strong, because that's how you fall. Okay. One of the things I do is I actually just discovered an app that will, and this is not sponsored, I don't even imagine how I would have an affiliate link to something like this, but I discovered an app that blocks me from even being able to pull up those sorts of websites that I don't need to be on from my phone. And it gives you a thing called it gives you like a buddy, right? So anytime you go to one of those websites, your buddy gets an email. And so I made Naomi my buddy. And then I had to explain to her why, But to me, it's important because it's a tool that's going to help me. Whatever the thing is that you're dealing with, I want you guys to, especially if you're content creators, understand that as your platform grows, people are looking at you a certain way. And you may say, well, it doesn't matter what I do, whatever your thing is that you're struggling with. It's very easy to say that's nobody's business for my own. And all I'm saying is, don't let that be the potential stumbling block. Figure out a way to make sure that you don't stumble. And if you do stumble, if you just stumbled, you have stumbled, don't just hang on to it. Instead, it's like if you're fighting in the ring and you get hit with a real hard punch, don't be like, okay, well, obviously this isn't right for me. Just turn around, walk out of the ring. Nah, you recover, you fight back. You had a bad round. You go sit in the corner. You're like, man, he just beat me down. I got to go back out there again. Okay. You recover, you fight back. You get help from your coach. They're going to give you some advice. You put your mouthpiece in, you go back out. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, don't be like, and I'm not saying this from the standpoint of saying I'm perfect and I don't have this thing. No, I'm telling you flat out, I have messed up, but I don't live in that, right? I'm like, because I recognize that I have a responsibility to my faith, to my Savior, to my wife, to my kids, and to every single person, every one of the 100 and something thousand people who follow Garage Gym Life, where on whatever platform. I have a responsibility to you guys now to always be the way that you think I am. Anytime you're there, and when you're not there, I need to still be that person too. Don't be the different people for different situations, right? So again, that goes back to the other side of the no arrogance though. If I see somebody else fall, I'm not going to look down on you. So for example, if you're somebody who struggles with the thing that I just told you about and you want help, shoot me a DM, no judgment. I'll just share the link with you and to that app to help you out. No judgment. Do not tell me on here. Don't post it in the comments. Shoot a DM to Garage Gym Life on Instagram. If you are somebody who, this is a big one. This is a big one. There are content creators in this space who pretend that the way that they got their bodies to a certain way is just through hard work and training, like the old Hulk Hogan. Take your vitamins, say your prayers, and then it turns out that they're doing other things to get there, right? Okay. I'm not yelling at you. I'm not making whatever. All I'm saying to you is those two things can't coexist. You have to be, you have to be who you say you are. Okay? You have to be who you say you are. If your thing is illegal gambling, your thing is, if you got a gambling addiction, whatever your thing is, man, and I'm saying man in the general sense, okay, whatever your thing is, don't just try to grit your teeth and fight through it. Just like I wouldn't tell you if you're fighting in the ring, hey man, just grit your teeth, go out there. I'm going to tell you, hey, you probably need to have a coach in your corner. You need to have a cut man in your corner to close the cuts. And definitely, so get a partner, get somebody to hold you accountable and to help you. There are resources out there for whatever your thing is. And then also, just like I would tell you, hey, you probably need to put your mouthpiece in before you go in the ring. Get the tools that will help you. The internet is a place with a lot of rubbish, but it's also got some good tools to help you with whatever you're dealing with. Take advantage of those tools. Don't let pride stop you from really breaking through to being the person who you could be. Okay? I've let it happen to myself in the past, and there's no future in that. There's a song by MC Breed, of all people, No Future in Your Frontin'. Feel free to go Google it or pull it up on YouTube. It's a catchy tune. Ain't no future in your frontin'. eventually it comes out, right? So I'm telling you guys flat out right now, I'm not perfect. I screw up. And if I screw up, I pick myself back up and I just, all right, I lost that round, but I'm not climbing out the ring. I'm still fighting. And I want you guys to still fight too. Okay? Still fight too. I don't know who needed to hear that. I'm glad I said it. And if it turned you off, and so like we just dropped from 11,000 to 6,000. So for the 5,000 of you who weren't trying to hear it, I'm sorry. But life is about more than me just telling you jokes, showing my teeth and dancing. Okay? So there you go. And that's what I learned this week. Have integrity. Don't be arrogant. And have compassion for people who fall. That makes it a good week. Makes it a good week. I love it. Next week, it's also going to be a good week. I'm trying to schedule Brad Abbott on here for next week. We had a scheduling conflict, so Brad wanted to come on this week, but I'm trying to reschedule him to get him on next week. And same thing for the legend himself. That's right. This is not a drill. Coach Carp himself. I'm trying to get him on the show next week. All right. So everybody flood his DMs and tell him you need to be on the show next week. Nah, he already said he'll do it. So we'll have Coach Carp next week on the show. And I think you guys are fantastic. And you guys are the reason why, even when I'm tired and I don't feel like getting up, because my mom and my wife and my daughter had me out at all hours eating Mongolian food. Okay, sorry, Japanese food in a Mongolian restaurant with a Mongolian dude on the banner outside the restaurant. Even when they had me out to all hours eating that stuff and hanging out, I still love getting up every Friday with you guys. I cannot wait to see y'all next week. Keep stacking days, man.